Sorry, guys, give me 1 second. We're just setting this up here. And Patrick has gone again. He's disappeared again. But anyway, so I can actually see him. He's on the thing. We're just kind of seeing, guys. If you can see me and we're live, we're just coming on live now. So we're just testing a few things out here. But I'm just waiting for the green light. Can someone tell me if we're live yet? Someone tell me if we're.
I'm just trying to check myself here.
Just go on notification.
Oh, you're on. Oh, I can see him now too. There he's just as we go. All right, let's start then. Hey guys, how you going? So today on In the Sheds, we are back for episode number 25, baby. And this is going to be a big time episode where not only myself and Entertain House obviously are chatting all things sport, but we are also going to be talking to someone you guys may know from the BKRsport team. He's a moderator. Oh, he's got his Bengals shirt on. Buddy, shit. What do you think this is? An American sport podcast, mate? There's no American sport podcast, but there will be soon. Don't you worry, son. He's gone again. There you go. See you later. But everyone's saying hello. Hello, guys. How you going? Hope you guys are all going well. But today we are going to be speaking about AFL, NRL, and the A-League. The Super Rugby competition has finished up, and obviously the Crusaders came out on top over there in Aotearoa, and there is no final over there. But the Blues Crusaders game still this weekend should be pretty massive, so get around that. But first I've got to welcome in the big fella Hayden, Entertain House. How you doing, champion?
Going good, mate. Yourself?
I'm all right, mate, buddy. We're going to get in your Parramatta any moment now. Yeah, we're going to get in your Parramatta any moment now, you cheeky little devil. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm coming for you, son. I'm coming for you, Mr. Ben Cummins. And also, obviously, we do have PatoCat116 down here. You guys may know him from the BKRsport streams. He is a moderator and also, obviously, a listener and watches the content. So we've got him on today. And how you doing, champion?
Pretty good. Results have not been good for sports teams recently.
Nah, they've been fantastic, mate. The Titans obviously won. Geelong obviously won. Brisbane Roar tied against the bloody best team in the competition. And, we're for line right now. So, but let everyone know who you support across the three sports that we're talking about today.
All right. I'm a Western Sydney sports fan, so let's say at least.
Yeah.
AFL, Greater Western Sydney.
Yeah.
NRL, West Tigers. And A-League, pretty simple, Western Sydney Wanderers.
Yeah, so unfortunately, man, you're not doing the good trifecta there. Not too much of a good trifecta there. But let's get into our first topic today, guys, and that is obviously the AFL. Just hello to everyone in the chat saying hello right now. Dingo's asking you if you got your tips video tonight, Mr. Hayden.
So tips, I think I'm going to move them. I think the podcast, we're going to be flipping between Mondays and Tuesdays based on when Geelong play, aren't we? So I think what I'm going to do is...
Based on if there's a big game or not, basically.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think I'm going to move the tips to Wednesdays, and I think it's going to be in the style of a premiere vid for people to enjoy as well. So tips tomorrow, guys, for my channel.
Okay, tips tomorrow for your channel. Perfect. There we go. Alrighty, so first up, we got the AFL, guys. So let's get straight into this. So this one's going to go for about 40 or so minutes, guys. And then after that, we're going to go into the NRL. And then after that, we're going to get into the A-League. So if you're here for a specific sport, I do have the times in the chat somewhere. But if I click off right now, it will come off. So let's go into the AFL first. Right now, by the way, guys, Adelaide are up at halftime 22-13 to Collingwood. Just an FYI. Just a little bit of a one there for Chargie's dad. The big fella Chargie's dad. He said, Blaze, we're not talking about Collingwood. Well, guess what, my friends? It's the first point of topic here. Let me get back to see what was the first game. So since we last got on the podcast, there's actually been 1.5 rounds. There's been 1.5 rounds. So Port Adelaide beat Western Bulldogs 55-42 last Monday. Richmond Tigers beat the Brisbane Lions 82-41 at Metricon Stadium on Tuesday. Geelong Cats, hey, Geelong, we beat North Melbourne 90-57. It was quite close there for a while there, and then kind of fell apart in the end there when the Catchers took it away. The Crows and the Demons won 88-77. Collingwood just beat the Swannies 50-41 there at the Gabba. St Kilda just beat out the Suns 78-74 there at Metricon Stadium. And also GWS just sneaking home over Essendon there in that one. They were actually down by 5 goals. I tipped Essendon in that one. I tipped GWS.
Crazy game.
I tipped GWS and Mr. Hayden tipped Essendon, so he was spewing. He was spewing, son.
And how close were Essendon? How close were they? They kicked a goal with about 30 seconds. They're still in it. I had my belief that this tip was right, but those Giants, they pipped them.
Yeah, I tell you what as well, that actually helped me to a perfect round, which gave me an extra 2 tips in the AFL tipping as well. So I got every single tip in that round correct, but not so much in the next round. So Port Adelaide beat Richmond 93-72 in an absolute cracker there at Adelaide Oval on Saturday, followed by Brisbane Lions beating the Doggies. Hayden's Doggies 96-72 there. West Coast 72-50 over Carlton, and the D's 92-35 over North Melbourne. North Melbourne started off really strong there and fell apart in the end. We had the Geelong Cats last night in a absolutely big throttle on there against St Kilda. We won by 59 points, 93-34. Freo coming out just decent enough over Hawthorn, 48-32. And right now, as I said, is 22-13 at half time to the Adelaide Crows over Collingwood. And tomorrow we do have the Suns and Essendon to finish us off. So guys, first little bit of discussion point here is I kind of want to get into this Richmond and St Kilda groping incident. I don't know if you guys have heard about this one, but there's been some footage from the sheds, from St Kilda and Richmond, where there's been a bit of groping in areas that probably shouldn't be shown on TV. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think that what are your thoughts on this one?
It's a tough one to touch on because look, you want to be full of banter. The sport's got banter in it, but it almost feels like it's crossing a line, especially. But it really begs the question whether this should be something, because it was done during the team song, wasn't it?
It was done like after. I believe it was done during the team song and in the sheds, like after a victory. Obviously, a bit of sledge and a bit of banter. You know, just a bit of a laugh. But in the same sense, it was caught on national television.
Yeah, I think you love a good old smack on the bum when you see something like that, but this groping was a little bit different. Yeah, I think off TV. I think off TV, your mates, you're mucking around, hit you in the balls, you know. It wasn't a hit; it was a grab.
Yeah, it was full on. Like it wasn't just a buddy little tickle. It was full on.
Well, there were multiple images that I saw taken where the hand remained there. So. Not sure what's going on there at Richmond.
Yeah, gee whiz, I'll tell you that right now. You got any thoughts on that one, Patrick?
Well, I agree 100% with Hayden. Because with your mates, you let's just say, if your mates, you do that a bit sometimes. But when you're on camera, you just don't do that.
I can't tell you right now that I've ever, been with a mate and gotten a full grasp going. Like a bit of a tap on the bum after a goal or a try or something like that, or a bit of or even when you're at the punt, at the TAB and you get a good win going. But a full on grasp, that's pretty that's pretty a little bit over the top there. So I just think that look, it's all good fun and good banter, but the actual full-on, grasping is a little bit different, and especially when it's on national television and there are kids watching. I know that it is quite late usually that it finishes up, but in the same sense, it is still on free-to-air. So it's not like we're on Foxtel, it's not we're on paid TV, and I think it's, everyone's really getting into you about this Parramatta game, Hayden, already in the chat.
I'm gonna make a point here and say, do you think that, and I know it's a very different situation, but do you think that things like when betting companies encourage players to I think they did something like a tap after a try and they donate money. Do you think something like that, where they're encouraging players to put their hands on another player, is actually kind of a bad thing for the game, in the sense that players could be doing these type of things on national TV when they are meant to be role models?
I don't really know. I can understand where you're coming from there, but in the same sense, I don't really think, and as we've seen kind of recently, actually, and this could kind of lead into that topic of like the abuse that gets sent to players in messages, but I don't really think the players really give a shit about that gambling situation right now, you know what I mean? Like, I know what you're saying, but as we've seen recently, and we can kind of briefly go, I was going to wait for the NRL to talk about this one, but I guess we have seen a few AFL players come out, but actually, that leads right into it. So, obviously, players have been coming out saying that people have been really abusing them and threatening them violently in their DMs lately. And we actually, funnily enough, you guys haven't seen this yet, but we've spoken to Priscilla Hon, who is an Australian women's tennis player. By the way, guys, player interviews and stuff will be coming back soon. It's just me trying to find out time to be able to edit those podcasts and put them out. But Max Griffin, UFC, and all that type of stuff will be coming out. But we spoke to Priscilla Hon, who's an Australian tennis player, and this was well before any of this news came out. And we were sitting there, and she was like, "Oh yeah, no, I get that all the time. Like, I get genuinely a lot of people messaging me, like when they lose a $5 bet or a $50 bet, and they ask for the money back, and if they don't, or they just bloody hurl abuse at it." And I was like, well, that I think that's a bit full on. But that was before all that. She didn't say anything about like real serious threats and shit. She just said that she got like abuse hurled at her. which is still, I'm not downgrading that at all. I'm just saying, like, that's what she said, but now it's coming out that people actually genuinely get serious threats. So what are your thoughts on these ones, boys? Obviously, yeah, people get a bit upset after they lose some money, but it's still their money, and it's still gambling. It's literally called gambling for a reason.
I think it goes in the sense of not only gambling, but in the sense of on camera too. People like us who might talk negatively about players and a game and performance they may have had. It's a really negative thing to do, and not just messaging a player, but even coming out and saying that a player dropped the ball or missed a mark, something like that. I just think
didn't get 15 disposals is the main one. The 15 plus disposals on the.
You got 14 plus disposals last night, James Sicily. But anyway,
Sicily, you bad. Oh my God, he's getting his name wrong. Nah, it's all good. But yeah,
that's my opinion on it. I think that you need to have respect for your players. You can be angry. You should keep it to yourself. You shouldn't take it out on them. And like I've probably done in the past, you probably shouldn't go and address it on a video either.
Well, fair enough there. I think you're pretty much spot on there. I just really feel like that it's just a bit not on. Like, you obviously, yeah, you get angry, you get upset, and you want to punch a wall and probably give yourself a bit of a slap around. But obviously, these players are trying their hearts out. They are giving it a crack, and they're not the ones who put up the odds, and they're definitely not the ones who are putting the money on the line. So I think it's pretty ridiculous that people are going over the top and serious threatening. Look, I think it's quite funny. People are like, hey man, like I bet $10 and I was going to win $100. Like, can I have my $10 back? I think that's quite funny. But that's and they may even possibly, if you're good enough, I don't think they would. But I reckon some like American sports stars, if they kind of thought it was a bit of a laugh or something like that, $10 or something, they'd probably throw it your way. But I think, yeah, when you get to the point like, oh yeah, I'm going to, or you need to die or some shit, or just some stuff that we can't mention here on the podcast, I think that's going a cheeky little bit too far. And I think everyone in the chat there is agreeing with that too. But let's move into some of the AFL action. So Port showing they can beat the Faves is my first topic of note here, because obviously we did see, and this is actually going to be really seen this weekend actually, because Port will be playing Geelong on Friday night at Metricon Stadium. So not in Adelaide, they're going to be against Geelong at Metricon Stadium. I think that's going to be a really interesting one. But obviously we saw that Port did Richmond quite dirty in that fourth quarter. And we also saw Port, I don't know if you'd call the Dogs a good team, but in the same sense, they're still a decent team. What are your thoughts on this one, boys? We'll go to Patrick here first, mate. What are your thoughts on Port?
Well, right now, I put Port right now like as the team to beat personally. That's what I put Port as. So I think they can beat the teams that they'll call as the better teams. But I think Port is the best team in the competition right now.
There you go, Hayden.
That game against Richmond proved a lot, I think. I think it was quite a tight contest for a bit of it, but that fourth quarter, they just came absolutely powering out. And I think it's going to be a massive test for both Port and the Cats. The Cats find themselves now in the top four, so it's going to be a really good game. And I guess you could put Port up the top. In AFL right now, it's really hard.
Well, they are up the top. They are on number one.
They are. But in regards to the team to beat, they probably are, and they're really starting to show it. How long they can hold on to it and keeping a level of consistency, especially going into finals, is what I want to see from Port. But really looking forward to the showdown against the Cats.
Yeah, well, Taken Walk says Port the team to beat, no doubt. As his Sport says, Tigers unlucky, but maybe in the final still. And also says Port Adelaide contenders for the flag. Now, look, I would agree with that in the same sense. I would agree also with the... actually, no, I wouldn't agree with the word unlucky. I don't think they were unlucky there, Richmond. I think that they were pretty average for 3 quarters, but still stuck in it. And then Port Adelaide just took it to a new level in that fourth quarter. I was streaming this game, and I just think that Port Adelaide just took it to the new level in that fourth quarter and just absolutely slaughtered them. Like, they didn't even give them a single chance. Didn't give them a single chance whatsoever. So Richmond, yeah, they'll still be in finals. Don't you worry. Richmond still are a threat to this premiership, but I would personally say that Port have started to show themselves against the good teams. I wouldn't class Bulldogs as a good team necessarily. I'd class Richmond as a good team, but then again, I don't even know how much of a good team I would class them as, because they, besides their win against Brisbane, what have Richmond really been doing of late? They beat the Dogs by 50, but besides that, they lost to GWS, who haven't been great. They also lost to the Brisbane Lions by 20 points. We go back continuously, and they only just beat the Swannies. Just like Collingwood only just beat the Swannies, you know. They haven't exactly had a fantastic season, but Richmond have kind of been just kind of getting by. I've been saying they're slowly kind of flying under the radar, but in the same sense, they've only kind of just been getting by. And for 3 quarters, they were okay. You know, they were okay, but unfortunately, in the 4th quarter, they got exposed, and Port Adelaide came rampant out. So I think this week is going to be an unbelievable test for them against Geelong, who we saw just run rampant against St Kilda. And I feel like St Kilda and Port are a similar style gameplay, except for the fact that St Kilda don't really have a big man like Charlie Dixon up front. So Charlie Dixon's going to be a huge test for Geelong, but he actually has been missing quite a few. He's been missing quite a few from in front as well. You know, he gets a few behinds. But in the same sense, he's had a phenomenal season so far, and I think he's the one to really look out for. Do you agree?
Yeah, he's definitely in some good form. The thing I was going to say about Port is like we've said about Carlton, they get some quarters right and some quarters wrong. And I think
not to the same extent, though. I agree, but not to the same extent.
Not to the same extent at all, but it's similar.
Yeah.
The thing about the game against the Western Bulldogs that I noticed, Port were really up by a lot, and we fought a little bit back into it. And for a team, I'm going to personally say that I think we're a little bit of an overrated team right now. There's a lot of people still rating us, and
the Bulldogs.
I don't. I've seen a lot of people online and things still rate them as a chance of making the 8. I personally don't see it, and things like that. And I think that Port really should have put the foot down in that 3rd and 4th quarter and put it completely to bed. But they only snuck home by, what was it, 17 points?
Yeah, but that might have been only 17 points in that 4th quarter, but it was 21 points. But they were losing going into that 3-quarter time. So I would agree up until the 3-quarter time, but in that 4th quarter, they absolutely dominated that 4th quarter. Like, there was absolutely... Richmond, I can't even remember them really having a chance. I don't even know if they kicked a point in that 4th quarter. Let me have a look. Oh, they didn't kick a single point in the 4th quarter. Not a single point. So that shows you everything. That shows you everything right there. Richmond didn't kick a single point in that 4th quarter. They finished the quarter 3 with 11 goals, 6 behinds, and finished with 11 goals, 6 behinds. So that shows you how...
Says Port and Lions grand final.
Well, that's a good question, and that will lead into the next topic as well, which is can Brisbane show up against when it counts? Can Brisbane show up when it counts? And for me, I have a little bit of a worrying feeling here about about Brisbane. I don't know what it is. They obviously did beat the Western Bulldogs, not necessarily by a great deal there. They still won decently, but in the same sense, like you go back in that Richmond game, they look really average. Like they had, what was it? They had like 17 behinds. They had 17 behinds. They had 4 goals, 17 behinds. They kicked 4 goals an entire game against Richmond, who have looked average this year, and 17 behinds. Like I find that absolutely ridiculous. Do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with it at all.
17 behinds. What were you saying, Patrick?
Yeah, I have my doubts on Lions. I have my doubts.
Yeah.
If you went back to last season, they were 2 and done in the finals.
Oh, 100%. No, I keep saying this as well. This is why my topic here, it says, can Brisbane show up when it counts? Because I remember last year, and we've spoken about this a couple of times, but I remember last year I went to the everyone was like, oh, here we go, they're going to make the prelims for sure, because they've obviously got the first game and then the second game, both at the Gabba, and they played GWS. No, sorry, they played Richmond first. I went to that, I've logged it, and they lost. And then they played GWS, and they lost. So the thing is that when it counts, are they really going to be there? Because last year they were a great team. This year they're a great team, and I just don't know this year if they're too much better than last. I think both these years have been fantastic, and I think Charlie Cameron's a great player, but to actually go and make that extra step, I just don't know, man. I just don't know about Brisbane. I think they're a great team, don't get me wrong, and I think they're definitely going to be there in finals, and I think they're not going to be like 2 and done. I reckon they at least make the prelims, but I just don't know about them going all the way this year, lads. I really don't. I think they're a little bit gone.
Well, you've just said that, and this is what I was about to say. Do you agree with me that you could see the Lions being a team that maybe even claim the minor premiership, go so good into that semi-finals, and then just like last year get knocked out? Because that's how I see it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're going to win the minor premiership. I think Port Adelaide's going to win that minor premiership. But then again, if they lose this week to Geelong, and then Geelong will be 1 win behind them, and Brisbane also, who did Brisbane play this week? So Brisbane go and play North Melbourne. So I guess Oh no, their points differential though. Their percentage is ridiculously better though than Brisbane. So
Well, it has been since they kicked 100 against the Crows. It's
Yeah.
always been at that high percentage.
yeah, but the Geelong are really close as well. They're on 130%. They're only 10% behind, and Brisbane are 10% behind Geelong. So, I think I think the people are also in regards to this. I think people are also underestimating the old Catters here, mate. I reckon they're underestimating a little bit the Catters. Now, yes, they've had their faults earlier in the season, but with no Gary Ablett, we still went and beat St Kilda by 59 points. People are forgetting that one. Tommy Hawkins, the big fella, Tommy Hawkins. Buddy, what did he kick? Buddy, 5 goals? 5 goals or something like that?
Yes.
Then Gary Rowan kicking for 4 goals, look at us go.
How's Jamesy going on our podcast? He put St Kilda in the grand final. They're staying right away.
No, that wasn't James. That wasn't James. That was AJ.
Was it AJ?
That was AJ.
Sorry,
Yeah. James would never have done
Sorry,
that.
AJ.
Yeah, no, AJ went and tipped St Kilda in the grand final. But the thing is that he also did tip them to be contender this year, and they were third place until Geelong touched them up. So, as much as it wasn't a great result for St Kilda, they're still up there and they're still in that top 6 right now, which not many people would have had them in. Like a lot of people would have had St Kilda outside of the top 8. What? Go on.
Do you think that loss kind of could be a wake-up call for them in saying that don't go into a game thinking... I feel like St Kilda went into this game thinking that they were going to win it easy and they just got completely outplayed.
No, I disagree. I think they knew exactly what they were up for. But I just think that Geelong were a lot more slick tonight. I think that St Kilda just didn't have what it takes to match it with the big guns in that game. And I think that Geelong are a lot more slow, possessive based team, and St Kilda are very fast, get it to the front straight, like a Stoke City in your Premier League. When they were in the Premier League, they would just get the ball at the defence and then just hoof it long down and hope that someone would get onto, a Peter Crouch would get his head onto it in the end. And I think that St Kilda are very similar to that. They just kind of hoof it down the field and try and play really fast, while Geelong was really slow and frustrated them. And then from that frustration, you could just see, because that second quarter, St Kilda were actually better than Geelong in that second quarter. However, Geelong won that second quarter by 5 goals to 2. So St Kilda honestly dominated Geelong in that second quarter, but they still lost the quarter by 3 extra goals. If Geelong were to go and win this week, there'd be 1 win behind Port Adelaide and probably 1 win behind Brisbane. And with a for and against, a percentage that would probably be relatively similar to Port Adelaide if they got a win by probably about 20 points or so, which isn't out of the question because that's not a ridiculous margin. I think it's probably going to be under a goal, but do you feel like Geelong could finish on top of that table?
Very top.
Very top. How many games is there left? There is 1, 2. There'll be, I think round 17 is the finish. So I think there's about 6 rounds left or so. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, 6 rounds. 6 rounds. Do you reckon Geelong, considering if imagine they win against Port Adelaide this week, they're still 1 game behind. Obviously, if they lose to Port Adelaide, then no way. But if they can beat Port Adelaide this week, do you put them in potentially the minor premiership?
I'd have to see both of Port Adelaide and Geelong's draws in front of me, but I would probably say that Port have a better chance of winning it than Geelong.
What about you, Patrick?
They have the talent to, in my opinion, but I just don't see him. I see him getting in the top 4, in my opinion, but I see him just missing out on it.
You don't think Geelong going to make top 4?
No, I see him making the top 4.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, I agree. Yeah. Well, for example, Geelong play Adelaide next week. Geelong play Adelaide next week. So, yes, Adelaide are being Collingwood, but in the same sense, Collingwood are currently Collingwood. Shout out to Shardy's dad there. Massive shout out to all the Collingwood fans out there. There's no free kick Collingwood tonight, is there? But someone said, As Sports says, Pies slipping 1, last lose another, now they crate. Okay, that made absolutely no sense. But Gritter Game says, Pies suck, Crows are winning. Yeah, Crows are winning that game right now. That is correct. But let's move on to the next topic here, guys. And that is, can Freo make the 8? Is the question here. Can Freo make the 8? What are your thoughts?
Like Patrick says, different teams like Collingwood, like Geelong have talented players, and that's what we've got at Freo. But I don't see them making the 8. I think they're too inconsistent. Little bit of home games coming their way, but yeah, I don't see it.
Freo, this whole time, Freo have been like one of the biggest laughing stocks in the AFL. Do you agree?
Well, they've been a laughing stock for a few years now, but in the same sense, every time Nat Fyfe plays for them, they go to that next level, and they actually do perform quite well. That's the thing. Like Nat Fyfe's come back in this team. When Nat Fyfe didn't play the earlier rounds, he comes back, and that was the time I tipped them against St Kilda, and St Kilda lost. So I tipped them to win, and that was in 301. And then Nat Fyfe went out for a couple more weeks, and then he only came back against Collingwood, I believe. And then that's when, he was the game before Collingwood, and then they beat Collingwood, and then after that, they've obviously gone and I believe beaten Hawthorn since as well. So yeah, Freo beat Hawthorn and...
I don't rate Hawthorn, but Freo looked really good last night. They looked really impressive.
Well, I didn't actually get to watch that game last night, but I know that obviously Hawthorn haven't been great this season, and it's really difficult to kind of, for me, get a read on Fremantle from that game. Besides that game, Collingwood are actually leading now, by the way, guys. It's 25-24. Collingwood are leading 25-24 right now. So.
Dad's happy with that one.
Charge his dad, your team's still shit. But but yeah, so I personally don't rate Freo getting into the top 8. However, I think they should be very impressed with how their season has gone. And I think that they should be very happy that they're even contending for an 8 position right now, because they do have a... who do they play this week? So Freo are currently on 16 points, and they're only 6 points out from the top 8, Collingwood, where Collingwood is in 8th. If Collingwood were to win this game, then it would go to GWS, who goes down to 8th. And then they would obviously be 8 points behind. But Fremantle do have a shot. And who do they play next week? They will play Carlton, which is definitely a winnable game there. That'll
be a good game, I think. That'll be a really good game.
Yeah, but over at Optus Stadium, I really think Freo will get that win against Carlton. And then with Freo, then who they play next? They play the Swans at home as well. So they've got a relatively easy next couple of weeks, because Carlton are kind of struggling. So... it's interesting to see that. So you're going with no, I'm going with no, and Patrick, what do you reckon?
No.
Oh, that's a big fat no. That was a fat no there. That wasn't just a no. That was like a no, buddy. How dare you? Okay, next question. Have St Kilda been found out, boys? Have St Kilda been found out? We obviously saw with Geelong, and what I was just saying, how Geelong really kind of compacted them and slowed the play down and outpossessed them basically. St Kilda this year, people weren't expecting them to be at the top, and they were in the top 4. They were 3rd, but now they're out 6th. Do you feel like they're going to make top 4? Do you feel like they could actually miss the 8 altogether?
Top 4, no. Top 8, yes. And I like that we have a bit of a different opinion about the game between the Cats and St Kilda, because I really do think that this loss will be good for them. I think that, as I said, they expected to win this game. I think they...
but why would they expect to win against Geelong when Geelong could just jump above them? That wouldn't make any sense. Like, Geelong are a good team. Like, I would understand if it was a team outside the 8 where they expected, but why would they expect to come into a team against Geelong? It's like going into a game against bloody Port Adelaide and thinking that you got that win. Like, why? That doesn't make sense to me.
But that's the thing, though. It would take a lot of confidence. They've beaten some good sides this year, and it would take a lot of confidence, I think, for them to beat the Cats, who have obviously been flying by a considerable amount of points and obviously chasing the minor premiership. So I thought that they wanted to win it, and I thought they had a chance, but I don't think they've been found out. I don't think they're pretenders. I see them finishing around 5th, 6th for mine.
Yeah, 5th, 6th for me. Yeah, I'm going back to their games. The only big team they've really beaten was Port Adelaide, which is a big team. But I'm kind of looking...
And I called it.
and you called it, but I also called it when Freo beat St Kilda, which is a bit of a different story there. So it's like... St Kilda, like I said at the beginning of the year, they're going to win the games that they probably shouldn't, and they're going to lose the games that they probably they're going to win the games that they probably shouldn't, and they're going to lose the games they probably shouldn't as well. They're a very team that is kind of all over the place. So I think St Kilda haven't been found out, but in the same sense, I genuinely believe that Geelong were the better team against them yesterday. I believe that Port Adelaide probably beat them when they're playing them again. I think Port Adelaide, like you would just said then, I think Port Adelaide went into that game expecting to win that one. I definitely at home as well. I think they went into that game expecting that one. And who does St Kilda play next week? They play Essendon, which is definitely a winnable game to get them back on track. And what was the other game they play? And St Kilda play the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba, which will be another good test. At the Gabba too. Gee whiz. Absolutely. That's going to be a huge test there. But finally, guys, is it time to put a strike through Collingwood? Is it time to put a strike through Collingwood? They are currently struggling on the Crows, who haven't won a single game yet. In recent weeks, Collingwood have not looked fantastic at all. You know, this is for Chowdy's dad out there. Collingwood only just beat the Swannies in the last 3 minutes of the game. Swans actually looked like they were going to get up in that game for the majority of that game. And the Swans, I've got as a bottom 2 team, bottom 4. I've said bottom 2 the whole season. You know, Collingwood just beat them by 9 points there. And before that, Collingwood obviously lost to Freo. You know, they got beaten by 66 points to West Coast the week before that. Obviously, they did beat Geelong, but that was just a pretty average game. And Geelong just didn't play well, and Collingwood didn't play well, but they were the better team of 2 teams that didn't play well in that game, and also free kick Collingwood for Charlie's dad out there. What was the other one? They beat Hawthorn, but you know, we go back through the list, and they also lost to Essendon. So, you know, they don't have De Goey, they don't have Pendlebury, they don't have anyone. You know, is it time we put a strike through them? Because if they don't win this game, then the D's could jump into that top 8. The D's, the Melbourne Demons, son, they could jump into the top 8. What's going on here? You reckon Collingwood put a line through them?
What's going on with the injury list in regards to players coming back that you've just mentioned? Is it out for the season?
I couldn't answer this question for you. I don't really check too much into.
See, if Collingwood get their big guns back, they could become that dangerous team that we saw at the start of the year.
Were they a dangerous team at the start of the year, though?
Maybe not.
They beat the Dogs by 86-34, but that's a different competition.
Okay.
That was a different competition.
Competitive, I think, is the right word. They're a very competitive team.
Well, everyone was tipping them at the beginning of the season, and then they came out and they drew to Richmond, and everyone was like, "Oh, well, you know, that could still be, buddy. That could have been a good game between 2 really good teams." Then we saw that basically both teams were quite average. So, and then
you're right about everyone tipping them at the beginning of the season because we both did.
Yeah, exactly
we both
right.
took Collingwood to get the flag, but we were both wrong by the looks.
Well, we're not both wrong yet. You know, there is still buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy, relax over there, Jimmy. We're still on our buddy.
Boys.
Yeah,
there you go, Chad. We got him.
Gee whiz. So, well, what about you, Patrick? You reckon Collingwood done and dusted?
I love seeing
Not Chargie's dad. Gee whiz. I just call you Chargie's dad. We've just said his name so many times that I just said. But Patrick, what about you, mate? You reckon Collingwood done and dusted?
I love this right now. I love seeing Collingwood fail, but I've watched it too much. Collingwood will make a top 8, obviously. They're not done yet.
Oh, they'll make the 8, and if they do make the 8, then yeah, I think that's definitely they're definitely going to be there to cause a few problems, especially with your teams that are, you know, probably like your St Kilda who were there, who Collingwood did beat by a decent amount originally, and if they have to play Richmond, that'd be just an absolute beautiful knockout game there. Which obviously the last time they did play, it was a draw, 36-36. So, guys, that's gonna do us for our questions. Now we're gonna open the floor up to the people in the chat. So you got 3 questions. So Hayden, you're gonna choose one. Then Patrick, you're gonna choose one, and then I'm gonna choose one. Hayden, you can choose first, mate. So go through that chat right now and let us know what the question is.
Drop your questions, guys. Drop your questions relating to the AFL. Let's have a look. Is there anything up here?
Probably Giants questions for me.
No one cares about the Giants, mate. They're not even in the 8, are they? Are they in the 8? Oh, they're 7th place. Gee whiz.
I mean, this isn't a question; it's more a statement. But I guess we could talk about it.
All right, go on.
JD says Collingwood cannot miss finals with that schedule. So they must have a draw coming up that is refusing.
Well,
that they miss finals.
Okay, well, you can answer. No, we'll go Patrick first because we'll go like this. So we'll go around. So, no, I think it's that way. I think it's this way. But Patrick, you go first, mate. What would you say to that?
I was just looking at the comments right now.
No, you're all right.
I'm just trying to look at the draw as well for you guys. I'm just trying to find.
I've got the draw here. So there's only 2 games. This is what I don't really understand about this question because there's only 2 games that they've done a draw for, and there's 17 rounds, and we've only got rounds 11 and 12 after this game against the Crows, in which they are now leading 31-24 again. So they are coming home a little bit there. Trey Rusker with a goal there. But besides this week, they've got Melbourne Demons next week, who are fighting for that top 8. That's a real 8-point game. That's a real 8-point game. And then Collingwood then play after that. They play North Melbourne, so they should beat North Melbourne convincingly. But Melbourne Demons, I'm not too 100% sure with. But Patrick, what are your thoughts?
What was the question again?
The question was Collingwood can't miss the top 8 with that draw.
Well, I don't see him missing a top 8, so Obviously, that's my answer.
Oh, there you go.
I think
I can't put them out the eight either. I'll agree with you, Patrick. I can't. I think they're still a quality side. They're not as good as they should be, and as we all thought, we'll probably get the flag. I shouldn't speak too soon, but I don't see Collingwood missing the eight.
Did you say we'll probably get the flag just then?
We'll probably not get the
I'll
flag.
probably not get the flag. All right, I'm all over the shop. All right, Patrick, you're up next, mate. You get your question and shoot it towards us, and I'll go first.
I don't know if this has been answered before, but it's a question that's always been asked. Have you talked about the grand final location yet?
Yeah, we've kind of. Well, we can answer this. So the favorite. Sorry, what we say? What?
The question's by Azzy Sports. Grand final in Optus or the Gabba?
Okay, there you go. So as the sports get around him, I personally want to see it in Brisbane because obviously that's where all the games are basically being played for everyone, except for West Coast and Fremantle, who are getting their home games over there at Optus, and Port Adelaide and Adelaide getting their home games in Adelaide. I would definitely, Adelaide's not even a question, but I would definitely prefer. The only reason I've spoken about this a lot on live streams is that in regards to financial revenue, that the AFL is significantly losing by having it at the Gabba compared to Optus, because Optus I think has about 16,000 to 20,000 more capacity. That would be the only viable reason I think the AFL would want to have it there rather than the Gabba, because it's relatively unfair to have it at Optus compared to the Gabba, because every single team is basically playing there week in, week out, other than Metricon. And I just think it'd be stupid to then take those games and have it over at Optus. So I get it in regards to financial revenue, but I would personally lean with Brisbane for me. But Hayden, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think it depends on, in regards to crowds, whether crowds will be allowed at the grand final. I think they will, but it'll be a very small capacity. So I'd like to see it at Optus, but I think Brisbane will get it. I think Brisbane are starting to look at the legal side of signing a contract to actually play the grand final. So I think they're well underway in the process, and I think they might just snag the grand final.
There you go. Patrick, what's your thoughts?
What's in WA full crowds allowed, or is it still?
I think they're pretty up there. I think they're getting significant crowds over there. I don't know if their capacity like they do over in New Zealand, but I don't believe they have any cases over there in Western Australia, as far as I'm aware. So they could, for all I know. But I'm not too sure. I know that they get decent crowds because I heard Fremantle atmosphere against Collingwood sounded really good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because photo of like the AFL crowd didn't even look like it was much social distancing there, if any.
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh, no, exactly right. But then again, I saw in Queensland at the Melbourne Storm versus I think Newcastle Knights game, or was Melbourne Storm versus Dogs game or something like that. There was absolutely no social distancing whatsoever. Everyone was just buddy.
Knights and Storm.
But then again, Queensland's buddy right. Unlike you, buddy Victorians down there. Stay home, everybody, I tell ya. But no, okay, so let's move into the final question, and let me have a look here. Final question. Chargie's dad, I'm not going to answer that one about Buddy Grunt, I tell you. Okay, that was a good one here from JD. He says, which team in the top 8 do you think is most likely to drop out of the top 8? Hayden, you're up.
All right, I'm gonna get the top 8 up right now and give my opinion. Or whatever. You can go first if you're ready, Pat.
You guys cut out when you said the question.
The question was, who out of the top 8 would be the most likely to drop out of the top 8?
So, I'm just gonna look at the top 8.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it. Hayden, you go first. You go first, Hayden.
I'd probably say the Giants. They're in 7th at the moment. I'd say that the Giants, if I was to pick one. The other team I'd say, though, and it might sound odd, I would take Richmond out.
Ooh, I think that's a rough take.
It's a very rough take. They've got a very good squad, a very good producing, but the sides above them seem to be doing a lot better. Like, I would probably put Geelong right now above Richmond in regards to
definitely
the way they're playing.
Definitely, with the 3rd place, they're a 6th.
There you go. Yeah, I'll say GWS, but if I had to pick another, I'd say Richmond.
There you go. That's there's Hayden's hot take. You got it. Double HT over there. Hayden's hot take. Pat, mate, you're up.
Alright, so I'm a Giants fan, so I'm obviously not going to say the Giants are most likely to drop out.
Yep.
But my one, I'm going to go St Kilda.
You're going to St Kilda. Why's that?
I just think they got a bit, I'm going to say, a bit lucky at the start of the year. They got, let's just, the other teams weren't as in form as they are now. So now I just think they'll fall off a bit.
Yeah.
So,
Hayden, go on.
In saying that, Patrick, are you, because I'm saying I don't see it happening, are you saying that St Kilda will miss the top 8 based on that statement, not who would drop out of the top 8?
I still see St Kilda like going like 8th spot. That's where I've got them. 8th spot.
Okay. Well, for me, I've got them coming in 5th spot. I think that, personally, I think they're definitely locked in for the 8. But obviously, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I would personally say, I'd probably say GWS as well, to be honest with you. I just don't think they've been that good this year. Then again, I honestly think this top 8's nearly set. I genuinely believe this top 8's probably set, to be honest with you. I can't see the D's getting in. I really struggle to see Western Bulldogs getting in. Essendon probably might jump in there, actually. I'd personally say if anyone's going to jump in, it's going to be Essendon. But then in the same sense, the D's have a good percentage, and Essendon don't have a great percentage. Gold Coast have a good percentage as well, but they're definitely not getting in. I would personally say this 8's probably locked in. But I'm gonna say that if there was someone to drop out, it'd either be GWS or... No, it'd just be GWS. I can't see anyone else dropping there. I guess if I was going to say a second most likely team, I'd say Collingwood. I would. They're not looking great, and they've got a lot of players out. So depending on how long their injuries are for, then yeah, I would definitely say that Collingwood. I'd nearly even put Collingwood on par with GWS, but I'm going to say that 8 is pretty much set. But go on.
Collingwood are up 37 to 26.
Yeah, well, they're bloody there. Well, it should be, mate. They're playing Adelaide for shit and else sake. Like they're playing Adelaide. Like they were down by a significant amount. Now they're buddy bullshit. Buddy, every Collingwood fans, shut up. You're coming back against Adelaide, buddy. Gee whiz. Guys, that's going to do it for the AFL.
Jules, he says the Bulldogs to be 8.
Well, Jules is buddy. She's talking some nonsense there. No, I'm joking, Jules. No, get around her. But let's move into the NRL section, guys. I know there's a lot of people here that have been asking. They know I have a strong opinion about that Parramatta game, and there's quite a few quite a significant bit that went on here over the weekend. So let's get straight into the NRL here, guys. By the way, guys, always obviously hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. And if you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or TuneIn, this is obviously live on the In the Sheds podcast YouTube channel. So definitely go and hit us up with a subscribe. We do this every single week. Player interviews come back as well. But let's move into the NRL here. Round 13 action. Patrick just keeps popping in and out. Like he just keeps popping in and out. I can see it everywhere. Can you guys see it on the stream as well? Yeah, it keeps coming in and out. So anyway, Roosters took down the Dragons, 24-16 there. The Warriors getting up over Manly. 26-22 there in a ripper game. Absolutely raucous game and pouring down weather. I can't believe it was so high scoring. The Rabbitohs took down the Broncos 28-10. There's a lot to talk about with one of those teams. The Melbourne Storm 41-10 over the Bulldogs. The Knights 44-4 over the old Patrick Pato Cat 116 West Tigers, who didn't like when I was originally saying earlier in the season that the Tigers are a bit old shit house, but no one apparently liked it, and I was apparently one of the only people that would. And I'm looking at you, Hayden. I'm looking at you right now, son. I'm looking at you right now, buddy, telling me that West Tigers are pretty decent. Then the Panthers 28-12 over the Raiders. Big game there. Titans. Hey, whoa, 30-10 to the Titans of the Cowboys. I like it. Oh yeah, I like it. And the Cummins beating the Sharkies 14-12 there. So let's go. What are your overall thoughts of the round, lads?
I thought it was a pretty average round. I know that my team got up, so I should be cheering happy. I thought it was a really average round. I thought, if I was to take a highlight out of the round, I really enjoyed the wet weather footy, and I really enjoyed the Roosters and the Dragons kind of lead up. And what I mean by that is the trophy and the respect shown for the Anzacs. It was really good. I I mean, it didn't feel like a true Anzac Day this year with everything going on. So for me, that was really nice. But the Penrith and Raiders game, I was looking forward to. It was one of my most anticipated games of the year, to be honest. However, I thought it was pretty average, so I was a little bit disappointed by that.
So it's pretty average. Yeah. Well, look, I look around the results. Besides that. That Warriors Manly won, and I guess maybe Titans Cowboys was a bit of a shock, but it wasn't really in the same sense. Panthers Rays, yeah, it was a little bit average. What did you think, Patrick?
Pretty forgettable round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
like before you said the results, I kind of forgot most of the games that I actually played.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I think that everyone should remember that the Titans won, so it's not a forgettable round. Is it, boys? Get around the Titans, lads. Get around
And the wet weather footy was good to see. But I think that the Newcastle Knights beating the Tigers was something not a lot of people expected. I think that we both tipped Newcastle.
Excuse me?
And I was...
What are you talking about, mate? Everyone tips it if they've got a brain, son.
No, not really.
If they've got a brain. That's what I said.
It was a 50-50 coin flip. There are a lot of NRL experts, so-called experts, tipping the Tigers, and a few people I saw on social media or even on tips taking the Tigers, but I was all over the Knights 13+. So I guess that was something for the round that I don't want to read too much into, because I'm worried that I've read too much into Newcastle.
Individual results have been read too much into by everyone. I tell you. What were you saying, Patrick? You trying to say something?
One of those experts who picked the Tigers was none other than Just 1202.
Oh, not Just 1202. Tell you, tipping the Tigers. He also, buddy. He's a lunatic, that bloke. Great bloke. He's been on the podcast before, guys. But no, he's a lunatic, that bloke. I love him. But guys, let's get into some of the specific chats. We will get into a bit of an overall chat in regarding to. We have spoken quite frequently about the Broncos, but in the same sense, not to this extent. We're not going to go into the individual topics of what is currently going on, but we're going to talk about the kind of overall kind of situation at the club without speaking about rumours and shit, because I don't want to potentially put out stuff that might not be true on this podcast. And even though I feel sorry for the victims of that situation, I don't feel sorry for the club. So we're not going to get into any specifics of that. We're not going to get into any specifics of that, but we will get into that in a very quick moment, guys. But the first topic I have today is the Roosters reserves pushing their team along right now. You know, they've got quite a significant injury list. Everyone has a significant injury list, let's be honest. But in the same sense, the Roosters, you know, they've got no Contender, who I believe is the most integral part of their team. And, you know, they're still pushing along. I even tipped the Dragons. Buddy, the 1 week I tipped those bloody bastards, and they don't do it for me. They did do all right, but they fell apart in the end, just like they did earlier in the season. We'll go to you here first, Hayden. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Roosters, for mine, they almost seem like the team to beat, even though they aren't winning games convincingly with a lot of star players out. They still are the team to beat at the moment, I think. Ryan Hall, he just cannot score an NRL try, can he? He scored so many in the Super League. Speaking of your Roosters reserves pushing along, Ryan Hall. Yeah, I think that their bench is really good. They've got a really good bench that kind of, I'm going to sound tough here, but people that are considered as no names, who I'm actually really watching and getting really interested. Lindsay Collins running 200 metres a match, and they've got some good players through the squad that they can bring in at any time and produce results.
There you go. I can see Patrick wants to say something, mate. What do you got in your mind there? What do you got in your mind?
This is just a testament to how great the Roosters are. Every week I'm doing my picks. I'm like forgetting how many people they've got injured. I'm just tipping them like I just can't see them losing every week.
Yeah, well, I think for me it's quite ridiculous that I tip the Dragons. Like, I guess I just tip the Dragons because I think that they think they can make the 8 right now, and I don't think they're going to make the 8, but I think that they think they can make the 8, and I think that's probably pushing them along to get more wins than they probably should, and they are playing quite half decent footy. Obviously much better than they did at the beginning of the season. I still think they're very overrated in comparison to what they probably actually are, but in the same sense, I think that they're literally playing on the back of self-motivating around how bad they were at the beginning of the season and really kind of getting results on the back of being so poor at the beginning of the season. So a bit of a hot take there, but I don't rate the Dragons whatsoever, but I just feel like they're getting it on the back of not wanting to be like they were at the beginning of the season. So actually, on that, go on.
In regards to you, because I mentioned this in my recap, I'm pretty sure last night, in regards to you not rating the Dragons, do you rate Matt Duffy though? Because honestly, right now, I've got him in the top 5 fullbacks in the game. At this current stage in the game, do you think that the Dragons are performing as good as they are because of Matt Duffy at the back?
I'd say, yeah. I'd say Duffy is right at this very moment. If we're talking overall, then no. But if we're talking right at this very moment, I would say... personally, I nearly don't think Tedesco's in the top 5 this season. I'd nearly say that. I don't think he's been great at all. What's he done?
I wouldn't say top 3.
Not top 3. Okay, yeah, we'll go that because there's not really many other kind of fullbacks out there really. And Trebojevic definitely is in top 5 this season. So yeah, I guess yeah, I'd say probably like 4th or 5th in my opinion, which is very low for Tedesco because obviously Tedesco just obviously hasn't been. He's either been has he been injured? Well, what's going on there? Like, has he ever been injured this season, or is he just not performing?
There was one match out. I think it was against the Broncos when they won 59-0.
Oh yeah, and they still won 59-0. Without him. But for me, I personally don't even have. I don't think Tedesco's been that good this season. What are you saying?
Ponga's been a little bit better than him, but I think both Ponga and Tedesco haven't been great this season.
I don't even think Tuivasa-Sheck's been that good this season, lads. There's been quite a few fullbacks that are, like Tuivasa-Sheck until he played the Titans, didn't score a try. He didn't score a single try. So it's like, or I think did he score a try? No, I think he only needed 1 try for the season so far, and he hadn't scored a try up until he played the Titans. That's actually kind of a lackluster fullback core this year alone, I guess. The Rabbitohs got Latrell Mitchell, who is just so on it, hot and cold. It's not funny. Pappenhausen's probably my number 1 so far this season. Yeah, I reckon Pappenhausen would be my number 1 fullback. I would nearly say, I reckon. This might be a little biased, but I reckon if AJ Brimson had have played since the start of the season, he'd be up there, but he's not because he's only played 2 games, but he's been phenomenal in those 2 games. However, he hasn't played the whole season, so I'm not even anywhere including him in any list right now, but I think that he would have been up there. But I'd nearly say Duffy's probably second for me. I'd probably say Duffy's nearly second.
I'd say Pappenhausen, Duffy, Gutherson, and Chance.
I'd probably say Chance third. Chance third.
And then I guess Tedesco.
I'd probably say, yeah, I'd probably give Gutho that 4th spot, but in the same sense, I wouldn't be confident with it. I think he gets his job done. Don't get me wrong. I don't rate him anywhere near as much as everyone else does. The fact that he gets called King Gutho just annoys me greatly because obviously the only other king that I hear about is LeBron James, and he is actually damn well the king, baby, and you better damn well remember it. So, the thing that when it really grinds my gears, like the last person that got called king in rugby league was Wally Lewis, and if we're talking, buddy, Gutherson compared to Wally Lewis, I'm sorry, but I'm going to slap the next person that I see, Like, at least as a Parramatta fan, you can admit this. Actually, let me know your thoughts on that. Like, do you think that's absolutely ridiculous or what?
Look, I guess I enjoy saying it as a Parramatta fan. It's good to have a little bit of a saying, but it seems like it's gone a little bit too far, this whole King Gutherson scenario. I just think... Look, I don't mind Mitchell Moses being the prince, the king and the prince joke there, but at the same time, there's no need for it. Get rid of it, I reckon.
Well, I think get rid of it. I get that people obviously want to be able to. People have a real recency bias, and they really want to have someone that they can call the king. And I guess Parramatta fans, obviously, it's been such a long time since success that they want to kind of, and this isn't an insult, there has been a genuine, it's a fact, that there's been such a long time since success that they want someone that they can really get behind. And I understand why, but in the same sense, I just feel like it's the wrong player. Like, if you want to call, I guess if you wanted to call I guess it's kind of like a cult hero kind of thing that I guess we find with Anthony Don. Feed the Don, feed the Don, feed the Don and he will score. Feed the Don and he will score. But yes, I really feel like Gutho is a decent player, but King is just a little bit outrageous. Go on.
This is going to sound really rough, but I have never ever rated Gutho until probably the last maybe 6 weeks. I think he has really, really stepped up for us in these last 6 weeks, even though we've only just been travelling along a little bit.
I'll get around that, Zach Turner. I'll get around that. King Sivo. I'll get around that shit. I'll get
King
around that
Sivo.
shit.
There you
Tossoviti,
go.
baby. Ooh,
Tossoviti.
Tossoviti. Eh? Valava. I like it. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic, which is actually a very interesting one. The New Zealand Warriors. Are they a genuine chance of making the top 8 right now? Because if we go through right now how they've been going in this season, let's go have a look. So they just beat Manly 26-22. They beat the Tigers 26-20, which isn't as much of a shock anymore. They only just lost to the Chooksters. There. Yes, they got flogged by the Sharkies, but that was in a pretty momentous, really rough time. And they played the Titans, and arguably there was a few refereeing decisions that went against them. But in the same sense, I'm not going to bloody sit here and rag on the Titans getting favourable calls because, the thing is that I thought that game was still pretty. I thought that game. Wait, can you see me right now? I look frozen on my screen.
Oh, you're frozen.
You're frozen.
I don't know what's going on. Oh, I've gone. I've just disappeared. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, no, lads. Am I still here? Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on here. Something's, it's just bloody... Hold on.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm back.
Can everyone...
Hey, I'm back. Wait, I don't know what's going on. My system has run out of application memory, apparently. Apparently, we've run out of application memory. I don't know what's going on here, but shit's going all over the place. Sorry, guys, 1 second. I'm just trying to get this sorted out here. I'm just trying to get this sorted out. Hopefully we stick on. As long as we can get through the NRL, and then I can figure it out afterwards. But, okay, let's leave that for now. All right, so we're still here. So what was I saying? Warriors genuine chance to make the top 8. They've won a few games here and there, and now who do they play this week? They play the Panthers. That's a big test. But currently the Warriors sit in 11th position, which is only 4 points out of the top 8, and it's not like the Sharks or the Rabbitohs or the Knights, for that matter, have been convincing. Except for Knights over the Tigers, I guess. So let's leave the Knights out of that. But Rabbitohs and Sharks, do you think the Warriors can make the top 8?
It's going to be very tough if they are to make the top 8. I'm going to say no. I think they're the same as the Dragons. They're getting along nicely and getting closer to the top 8 and believe they can make it. They have got the Bulldogs and the Sea Eagles, though. But at the time that they have the Sea Eagles, I'm pretty sure Tom Trbojevic will be back in the side. So I really can't see the Warriors winning that game. They got some tough games as well in their draw. So I'm going to say no.
I don't rate the Warriors. I'm just going to say it. I don't rate them.
Ooh.
Well, I hope you guys can hear me right now because I've gone off again, but I'm just going to keep talking. You guys can't see me on the screen, but I would say, yeah, they're not going to. There, I'm back. I would say personally that I wouldn't put them in the top 8. I still think that I actually personally believe the Rabbitohs might not make it here, boys. I genuinely believe the Rabbitohs might not make it, which is a bit of a hot take. I think Cronulla will make it. I think they've shown enough, but I actually think that the Titans have a decent chance against them this week. The Sharks and Titans usually have good games. It was actually real 50-50 until that second half, and it was actually literally tied going into half time. The Titans were the better team in the first half. We got flogged in the second half, but I think we're a very different team than we were back then. So I think the Sharks might come a gutter there, but in the same sense, I still feel like they're going to get into the top 8 this year, and I think the Warriors might finish around 10th, which is a very successful season, a very, very, very successful season there for them. That's what my thoughts. I guess they have no winger as well. They have no wingers. There's no Mamalo. There's no Fusatul, but yet they still got the job done. You know what I mean? They still got the job done. So
they've signed Ewan Aitken as well. So they're signing some promising young players on these loan deals. I think that's a legitimate deal, but they've signed a forward with Jack Hetherington and wing with George Jennings, and the team looks.
Sorry, guys. Just seeing if this is back on yet. It's got green light. Are we back on? Hello? I think we're back on. Hey guys, sorry, my entire computer just shut down. I'm trying to get this sorted again. I need to get the boys back in the chat. Sorry guys, this isn't Fiji internet. The internet's fine tonight. It's just my entire computer just shut down midway. So let's move tab to new window. Sorry guys. At least we're back though. At least we are back. Hayden and Pat, if you're watching, mate, if you're watching, guys, jump into the. I'll jump into the call. Hopefully, you guys are still on that call. Yeah, this one had nothing to do with the old Fiji internet. Fiji internet's been really good lately. Use Skype online. Sorry, guys, if you're just tuning in now. We are going to be back any moment now with the boys. Unfortunately, we just had some major technical difficulties, and we're coming back now. Jay's dad says 6132 Collingwood. There you go. Welcome to the life. Welcome to the life of live streaming, guys. There can definitely be technical difficulties all the time. My life is definitely all about live streaming lately. Duffy says, shut down like Eels' chances making the grand final. There you go. Pat, I'm just saying, wait on Skype, mate. I'm coming back now. The whole computer just shut down, so give me 2 seconds, guys. Join call. George Kakas, this is my first time on this podcast. Well, welcome to one of the most messy podcasters you've probably seen. Welcome to a real messy podcast, my man. It's not usually like this, but unfortunately, my entire computer just shut down. Charlie's dad says Hayden hacked your computer because he didn't want to talk about the Eels. Yeah, that probably did happen, to be honest with you. That probably was the case. Buddy Parramatta fans tell ya. Maybe join call. Okay, join call. Why won't it join the call? Join. Wait for it. Oh, you can see. Wait, can you see? I think. Wait, am I here? You can see me?
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Oh, wait.
Bro, my entire computer shut down. Like that was massive. Like that was. Oh, wait, I can't see you guys on Skype. Hold on. We are still streaming, by the way, guys. But I'm just getting all this sorted again. I'm just gee whiz.
Awesome, we're back on. Hey guys.
Yeah, can you talk or do whatever for a second while I sort this out? I just gotta.
I sure can. I've been trying to keep the chat busy there.
Yeah, good.
Cyclone Eels fans came and destroy. Yeah, Eels fans didn't want to talk about this. That's right. That's correct.
Yeah, buddy, I'm coming. Don't you worry, son. I'm coming.
Emily M says Hayden looks good in this. You trying to flirt or what?
Oh yeah. Gee whiz, I think Hayden's girlfriend's gonna be a little bit jealous of that one. Emily, tell ya.
If I was reading the run sheet correctly, I'm pretty sure Tigers are like up next or like the next one after that.
I think we're nearly right here.
We got into A-League early. We were talking about tomorrow night's A-League game while we were.
Yeah, well, we were talking about the Melbourne City game, and they're already up 2-0 at half time, lads. So
it's good, isn't it? It's good.
Well, I told you I got on that over 2.5 at City. But anyway, we're back. We're ready to go. So
I took City 3-0 just then while we were waiting. I just called 3-0.
3-0. They're probably going to score, buddy. They'll probably score more in the second half. Oh, jeez. No. He's buddy mid-my. Sorry, guys. I'm nearly done here. We're nearly ready to go. All right, ready to go. All right, let's get back into it. So, where were we?
We were
Warriors.
On NRL,
we're on the Warriors.
We were just finishing up on the Warriors.
Nah, we were just getting we were just finishing up on the Warriors. So, actually, we'll finish up there. So that's what we said. So we said that the Warriors aren't going to make the top 8, but they're looking quite all right, but they're not going to make the top 8. Is that what we said?
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay, we'll leave it there. Next topic. It's so this one's probably going to go for about another 40 or so minutes, guys. Maybe 40 or so minutes. We'll finish it. What is it? 11:30 my time, 9:30 your time over there. All right. So the next topic we'll go on is the Brisbane Broncos crisis, lads and ladies. Brisbane Broncos crisis. Now, I want to put a statement out there. I am not sorry whatsoever. I do not feel the little inch of apologetic or sorry to that club whatsoever. However, the victims in their situation, I do feel sorry for. But I want to ask you guys in regards to what everything, don't speak about the specifics, but just know that everything going on right now in the club is just messed up. But we can speak about Tavita Pangai. Obviously getting released. I believe that's not even a fact yet, but there's also that's the thing with the Broncos. You don't even know if anything is true. It's just a circus.
Is it effective immediately?
Apparently it is. So, what are your thoughts on the Broncos right now, lads?
You go, Pat. I'm lost.
Broncos are just a shambles, and I love it.
That's beautiful.
So basically, I'm on Twitter, and I follow this guy's a Broncos fan. Every week, the Broncos lose. Whenever they keep playing Brodie Croft, he just goes off his head on Twitter, and that's an enjoyable thing.
Over Croft, not Milford.
Well, Croft's been pretty
Was it?
average. Croft has been pretty average, to be fair. Like, I would understand why someone would be having a go at him.
No, was it? He gets angry at Milford a lot, but it's been Croft more recently. He's also on the Sack Seabold train.
Oh, everyone's in the Sack Seabold train, and they're rightfully so for that. Hayden, you're up.
I'll tell you what, it's going to sound like a rhetorical. It's a rhetorical question, but did Katoni Staggs play the other night against the Rabbitohs? Because I saw a completely different team the week before, and I did not see him turn up. And obviously, there is a lot going on behind the scenes by the looks of it. But in the same sense, you're still football players. You're still getting paid to do your job. And right now, the Brisbane Broncos, they're not doing their job.
They're definitely not doing that job. Dasmate says, did he really get released? Apparently so. There's no factual statement yet, but I think the Broncos came out and said no, but in the same sense, they're still internally investigating the situation with Tavita Pungai. As his sports says, Pungai Jr. writ for him. By the way, sorry, just quickly before you jump in, Hayden, the reason why is apparently he was... This is something that I'll allow because it's not the other stuff. But Tavita Pungai apparently was at a bikey barber shop doing something like. We're not going to get into the rumors, but he was there, and that's breaking the protocols. So, but I feel like there's more to this story that we haven't been told because it doesn't really make sense to me in regards to an immediate release when a lot of other players have kind of done this and only gotten. For example, Wayne Bennett got 2 weeks where he had to quarantine. Like why? Why does Pungai just have to immediately not sit out the rest of the season? Actually, not have a contract. So I feel like there's more involved in this situation that we're not being told about. But what were you going to say, Hayden?
Oh, I was going to say, with Tyson Frizzell leaving the Dragons, could that free up some room for old Tavita Pangai Jr. to head down to Sydney and then join St George Illawarra? There you go.
Well, a lot of people are actually talking about the Dogs, mate. But then again, everyone talks about the Dogs with forwards. Like it's always a forward going to the Dogs. You know what I mean? Like everyone wants the Dogs want everyone, mate. You should see my comment section. You should genuinely see my comment section doing any stream. It doesn't matter whether it's AFL or baseball or bloody NRL. There's someone saying, "Buddies, Dogs need to get this dude," or "Dogs need to get that guy." So, look with the Broncos. I think that this is potentially, if this stuff does happen to be true, it's probably one of the biggest scandals that has ever happened in the game, outside off the game, alongside probably Coffs Harbour. But in the same sense, I feel like Coffs Harbour was a little bit more of an isolated incident compared to an overall implosion of a entire football club. You know what I mean? Like, there's those two things are probably the biggest things that have happened off the field. On the field, I would say in regards to Cherry Evans would be probably the biggest on-field situation. But I feel like this whole situation right now in regards to the Broncos is probably the biggest thing we've ever seen. And the implosion just keeps coming. Like you think that it's done and then you'll hear something else. And then you think that it's done and then you'll get something else. Like this club is just the club that keeps on giving. I feel like it's Christmas every day at the moment. I feel like bloody Santa Claus is the bloody CEO of bloody Brisbane Broncos right now. What's you putting your hands up here for? What's going on?
I was saying this is where the problems start with Brisbane.
Yeah.
Right up high.
Oh yeah.
Speaking about CEOs, did you hear about Ben Ikin?
Yeah, I saw that before that he put his hand up for it and stuff like that. I think that anyone wants that job right now because they feel like they can be the person that will be known forever in Brisbane as the person who got them out of the shit. Just like with the Titans, I feel like Justin Holbrook is that kind of guy, and I feel like Daryl Kelly and the Frizzels. Well, then again, they're deeply enrooted in the club, so that's a little bit different actually. But everyone wants to be that person. We saw this in the Sevens, right? Ben Ryan went to Fiji for the Fiji Sevens and took that team to the next level and just dominated. And Fiji nowadays win everything, even though Ben Ryan's not there anymore. I was actually speaking to him on Instagram the other day. But outside of him, there was the New Zealand coach who tried to do that with Samoa. And he went from New Zealand and won everything with New Zealand, then went to Samoa, Gordon Tietjens, and it's just not working out. It's just not working out. So that's the thing. Like everyone wants to be that guy that changes dramatically, not just like changes it smallly, like dramatically changes the outcome of a team and be that hero. And I just don't know if right now anyone can do that for the time. I think it'll be like I genuinely think that the Broncos are in for a good 5 minimum years rebuild. A good minimum 5 years rebuild. Like, do you really see them competing next year?
Need
No.
Gus Gould with his 5-year plan.
He's at the
5
Warriors
years.
now, mate. He's currently rebuilding the Warriors. Like, how can he be? He can't rebuild the Broncos and the Warriors at the same time. Gee whiz.
I got a nice little post for everyone on the In the Sheds Insta tomorrow involving Gus Gould and the Warriors. So keep your eyes out for that one.
I got my eyes bloody peeled, son. What were you saying, Pat?
I get what you say, like how everyone wants to be a Broncos CEO because they want to be a man who just brings the Broncos back, but you also don't want to be the guy who fails the rebuild and puts Broncos even further down.
Yeah, well,
You don't wanna be that.
I guess Ben used to play for the Broncos too. Who did Ben or if Ben played for the Broncos? Did he play for anybody else?
Do you play for... Let me have a look. Ben Eichen.
Yeah, Ben Eichen. I know he used to play
for
for.
Raiders?
I'm not too sure. Or I know he did. All I can remember is him playing
North Sydney Bears.
North Sydney Bears. There you go. Chase, Dad, you don't need to ask, man. You just put it there, and if I think it's good, then I'll ask it during the or just leave it for the after part. Leave your question for the after part. Well, yeah. In regards to the Broncos, I think they're in a massive situation right now, and I get a lot of comments saying, like, "Oh, as Broncos fans, they still haven't come and grasped the situation yet. Like they still fail to grasp the situation. You know, they know their team's bad now. Finally, finally we've made them understand that your team is not good this season. However, they still think that next year is going to be all right. They think that next year is going to be peachy. Oh, no, dude, we'll get through this year. And we're all right next year. Don't you worry, son. Don't you worry. What are you saying, Hayden?
Do we lock in? Because I don't. Do we lock in Brisbane for the wooden spoon?
I've got Cowboys. I told you this last week. I've got Cowboys for the wooden
Cowboys.
spoon. What about you, Pat? Do you go Broncos, Cowboys, or Bulldogs for the wooden spoon?
What was it? I want Broncos to be last, but I just think Bulldogs will still come last.
There you go. So Hayden's gone the Broncos. I've gone the Cowboys, and
I've gone the Bulldogs.
Okay.
I want to go Cowboys with you. I still think Bulldogs, but I'm saying, do you guys have an opinion where you can now lock in Brisbane based on what's coming, this shitstorm, that they will finish at the bottom and potentially not win another game?
Well, I'll go through. I'll go on while you do that. I'm gonna go look at the schedule. Go talk, Patrick.
Finishing bottom for Broncos would be the best case scenario for the club because then it will actually open it up for everyone, knowing like this is unacceptable.
Well, I'm looking at their schedule right now, right? So the Broncos play the Raiders this week. I'm not putting them anywhere near a tip there. I'm definitely tipping the Raiders there. And then we look at the Dragons game the week after, and I would probably give the Dragons the win, but I wouldn't be too necessarily surprised if the Broncos got one win there. The Broncos versus the Roosters, that's definitely a no-win. Panthers, definitely a no-win there. The Titans, I genuinely don't see a win there, but then again, they have a really good record against us at Seabar Super Stadium, but that was with completely different teams. And then you've got the Broncos versus the Cowboys, and that's a genuine chance there. I guess that last game of the season between the Broncos and Cowboys, dare I say it, the Broncos and the Cowboys, one of the biggest rivalries in this sport, for the final game of the season could be what Parramatta and the Titans had in 2011. Could be the loser gets the wooden spoon. Can you imagine that? Because look, let's go. So on that, I reckon that I could nearly only give the Broncos probably one win or two wins, max. And I still doubt they will. And that 1-2 wins max would be maybe Dragons and maybe Cowboys. I guess you could nearly say Titans, but I think that we're looking. Well, go on.
I'm gonna have a look myself. What's the Bulldogs draw?
That's what I was about to go into.
You're about to go into. What's the Bulldogs draw?
So Tigers this week.
They play off on the weekend.
Yeah, they play the Tigers this week at Bankwest. Following that, they play the Warriors. The week after that, they play the Raiders in Canberra. Then the Titans at home. The Manly Seagulls at home. And round 19, the Rabbitohs away. And then final game of the season is against the Panthers. Ooh, that's a tough game, the final game of the season, when the Panthers are probably going to be playing for that top spot. But in the same sense, the Bulldogs are probably going to be playing to avoid the spoon. So because that Broncos-Cowboys game will ensure that no matter what, one team will lose that. So the Bulldogs will eye that off thinking, wait a second, we've got a better for and against right now, because the Bulldogs right now are minus 153, the Broncos are minus 223, and the Cowboys are minus 104. But I honestly think that this week, I'm not saying that I'm going to tip him, Hayden. Don't you try and sneak out my tips early here, champion. But I genuinely think the Bulldogs do have a chance. I'm not saying I'm tipping them, but I think they've got a red hot chance to take down the Tigers this week. So I think that'll be interesting. But based on those two draws, and then we can have a look at Cowboys quickly. Cowboys Rabbitohs this week. Cowboys Knights the week after. Cowboys Sharks the week after. Cowboys Dragons. Cowboys and Storm. Cowboys Panthers. And then Cowboys, who's the last game? Broncos. Honestly, boys, that's a difficult as shit draw. That's a real difficult draw. They're playing the Storm, the Panthers, the Rabbitohs, Manly, the Roosters. That's a ridiculous. Did they play the Roosters? Sorry? Did they play the Roosters? I don't know, but that's a really difficult draw there for the Cowboys. They play the Sharks as well. Like, that's a tough draw there, lads. I'm giving that to Cowboys.
I'm starting to lean with you with the Cowboys based on that draw.
That's crazy.
I mean, it depends on performances and getting players back, but I'll still stick with the Dogs based on what I've heard. But the Cowboys, for mine, they're a bit of a special for the spoon.
Pat, you're up.
Yeah.
So you're still looking in Dogs?
I'll still lean with the Dogs, but I can see it. I can see all three of us just getting it. I can see a case of all three.
A case of all three. Tidewood. That'd be incredible. That'd be actually incredible. But there was a good comment here. Charlie's dad says, "Of course, Hayden says doggies when we beat your Eels." Dad's mate says, "I don't know where the Dogs will finish this year. The last few years we went on a good run at the end of the season. I think people are forgetting that too. Usually the Dogs do go on a little bit of a run at the end of the season. Last year they went on a run where people were like, oh, they're going to make the finals. And I'm like, well, nobody relax a little bit cheeky there for a second. Isaac Ritchie says Broncos or Cows for the spoon. Well, I got the Cows, but Broncos. I personally think the Dogs are going to get away from it. To be honest with you, I think they've been playing some decent footy lately, and I just feel like they just haven't got there. They just haven't got there, but they're so close to getting there, in my opinion.
They need to get their start right against the Tigers. We expected a bit of a grindy game against Melbourne, I think. We didn't expect that type of scoreline.
No, I knew Storm were going to win that decently.
Yeah, I still had them to win it by 10, I think I had. But I think that what the Bulldogs need to do is play the footy they've been playing in the last month, besides take last week's equation out of it, because they played really poorly against the Storm, and you can't do that against these type of sides. And the Tigers aren't great, but like you, I think they're a genuine chance on Sunday afternoon.
Well, there you go. Well, let's move into the Panthers and Raiders game. Panthers, obviously, I would argue, destroyed the Raiders. What do you guys think on that one? We'll go to Pat first. What do you think of that one?
I didn't watch that game. I was out somewhere, so I don't really have that much of an opinion on it.
All right, well, we're going to move off you then. We're going to go to you, Hayden, then. Hayden, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I wanted this game I was looking forward to it being probably one of my games of the year, but I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, neither do I.
The thing about this game is, I think the Raiders deserve a little bit more credit. The Raiders kept the Panthers, I guess you can't say scoreless, but they kept them tryless in the second half. But
Did they really?
Because, yeah.
I didn't notice that. I didn't even notice that.
So they kicked 2 penalty goals, which is 4 points. No tries in the second half to the Panthers. 2 tries to the Raiders, both from Nickel Clockstad. And Nickel Clockstad just went, boys, come with me. We're going for a ride. We're winning the second half, you know. The Panthers, for mine, they're really, really threatening.
Oh, they're slick. They're slick.
They are. Oh, I'm going to say it right now. I'm locking in Penrith for minor premiers. Do you boys agree?
Yeah.
I would say so, yes. I think I went over the rest of the draw, and I would say so, yes. However, if they do lose just one game, the Storm are only 1 point behind them, and they do have also a better point against, so even if there was a draw to kind of tie that shit up, the Storm do have, they're only 38 points, they're 38 points differential above them. So as long as Penrith don't lose a game, and obviously the Storm wouldn't win every game from here on out anyway, because they played the Roosters this week in an absolute cracker. But yeah, the point is that I would tip the Panthers for the minor premiership, yep. And hopefully they can maintain it despite having probably a little bit lack of experience in the finals. But I definitely want Penrith to win, because obviously Mr. T3 Duffy's over there has said Mr. T3 Duffy's has said he'll donate $200 to the channel on a live stream if Panthers win the comp this year. So I'm definitely getting behind the old pennies here. I'm getting behind the old pennies. Huh?
You know, I don't see it exactly, but you know it'd be cool.
What?
I'm pretty sure that Penrith play the Eels in the last round of the season, and that how cool would it be to determine whether that's the either minor premiership or the final spot in the top 4.
Well, I
think that would be-
definitely am not putting unless Ben Cummins is the referee for every single Parramatta game from here on out. I definitely can't see Parramatta coming to minor premiership. But in the same sense, the last game is actually Parramatta versus Tigers and Panthers versus the Bulldogs. The game before that is
Panthers and Bulls?
well, it might be round 18. Hold on one second, I'm trying to find it. Panthers Eels round
Just the
18.
week before?
No, 2 weeks before. So it's the
Oh,
third
okay.
last game of the
Oh,
season. Third last game. So. So that's the third last game, but unless Ben Cummins is
Maybe it's the original. Maybe that was the original draw. I think I've got the original draw.
yeah,
still
probably
stuck in
round
my-
round 26 or something like that. Yeah, that would have been something like that. ADL says if they don't lose before the finals, Panthers won't win the comp. I agree. I definitely agree with that. You know, you need to lose at least 1 or 2 games here or there, but in the same sense, if they do lose 1 or 2 games, then do you feel like that's a little bit overrated in the sense of saying that teams need to lose a game to be ready for the finals? Because everyone says, "Oh, due a loss," or "You need to have that loss." And I've definitely heard Hayden say this on the podcast before for Parramatta. And I'm not in that position yet with the Titans that I can, because we usually lose more than we win. We're getting on the other end of that though. But do you guys rate that? Do you guys rate that thought process of you need to have a loss going into the finals?
I do. I
Yeah.
think you have an expectation week in, week out to win games, and to lose a game and it to come as a shock, I think it really helps you build as a club in both a negative sense and a bad sense. Players probably go to bed going, "Oh, no," rolling over, "Oh, no, we lost." But at the same time, I think they come out firing and play their best of the ability, train hard, and I think it really motivates you getting that loss and getting ready for finals. So yeah, I think it's a good thing for clubs to lose a game coming up to the end of it all. But at the same time, it can also be the worst momentum possible.
Go on, Pat. I'll read the comment out from Emily in a second, but you go on, Pat.
Because a loss for like a team at the top is always a learning experience for them. So I'd say you need to lose in like those late stages if you haven't lost like since the mid to early stages of the season.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry, I'm just kind of laughing at Emily M's comment saying the Eels did you a loss this week.
You know the best thing about that, Blaze?
What's the best thing about that?
She goes for Dragons.
Yeah, no, I know.
and
It's a joke. Yeah.
and we're attending that match.
Oh well, there you go. Gee whiz. Oh wait, is it Eels versus Dragons this week?
Yes, it is.
Don't worry, Emily. I'll be getting behind your bloody team this week. Don't you damn well worry, son. After the shit that I deal with every week from you Parramatta fan over there.
Well,
No.
while you're speaking about that,
What?
the next topic was Cowboys for the Spoon, so I guess we've
Yeah,
made
no, we
it
can
to
move.
where-
We've made it to this one. All right, I'm going to let you talk
it.
here, Mister. I'm going to let you talk here, man, because we're going to talk right now about this Parramatta versus Sharkies game, 14-12 Parramatta. Yeah, bullshit, mate. Bullshit. What are your thoughts on this one, Mister Bullshit?
Okay, so let's get my opinion. First opinion, I think that in regards to both sides and how good they played, because I think both sides played quite decent. And yes, there were a lot of drop balls and things for the type of weather there was. It's very hard to get a read on. I think that this game proved to me that Cronulla will not drop out of the top 8. You see the Rabbits dropping out. I think that it's
I
set.
don't see the
thought-
Rabbits dropping out. I think they have a chance of dropping out. I think they're probably the
A
most
chance
likely out of all the teams.
Yeah, well, I think the top 8 is probably set. I think it's well and set based on what I've seen from the Sharks the last couple of weeks and the performance they put in. And even like the Roosters, they're putting some no-name reserves in who are really doing their job, like as in Talakai.
Oh,
and
Sisson
Connor
Vitalikai has
Tracy
been
as well.
fantastic. Yeah, he's been unreal. He's a monster,
been-
that bloke. He's a
been
monster.
very good. Yeah, I think that both sides played really well in the game. I think that there were a few calls that went our way. I do agree with that. And I also do think that, and this is going to sound strange, but I think people will agree with me that the Blake Ferguson knocked the ball on. In saying that,
100%.
though,
100%.
yeah, 100%. But in saying that, if you went back maybe 10 years ago, I don't think that's considered as a knock-on. If we're going off this day and age, though, and the way that games work and the way that calls are made, because the ball comes back out of his hands, it's classified knockback. If we're going off the reality of what we're in now, though, I 100% think that's a knock-on. Sharks get the ball, probably score, but who knows? Because everyone was dropping it close to the line, so they could have.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. That try in the first half to the Sharks that got called offside, that even though it was called a try on the field, do you think that was an offside? Or that you think that was conclusive enough to overturn the referee decision to say that was offside?
I didn't notice. I didn't notice it.
Okay, well, okay, so I'll tell you then. I know if you didn't notice it, so I'll tell you then. All right, I'll tell you then. All right, okay. So that first half, I think it was the first half. It could have been the beginning of the second half. I can't remember who it was, but they said so. The referee went up as try, right, and it was literally like it was in line, and there was no way you could say that he was 100% either behind him or in front of him. The angles just weren't favourable for either or. There was no way you could prove anything. And they said they overruled it, and they said it was a no try. The thing is, right, with Parramatta is that they had a lot of set restarts compared to the Sharks. I think the penalty count was like 9-1, and I know that doesn't necessarily reflect the game. But when you're looking at all the calls, that Blake Ferguson one is called a knock on everywhere. It's called a knock on everywhere. And you've admitted that. You obviously say 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. But the point of the matter is that gets called a knock on everywhere. Now, not only in this game. Now, this game, for me, I feel like the Sharks were robbed of the opportunity because it wasn't the last second of the game. Or stuff like that. They were robbed of the opportunity. But in the same sense, I feel like they had a try that was fair taken off them. I think that if it gets called no try, then yes, that's a no try because there's no conclusive evidence to say he was behind him. But because it got called
with an on-field decision.
Exactly right. So I feel like it was the on-field decision, and they didn't. They went against the on-field decision. They said that it was a no try, even though the ref called a try. So that was the first mistake. And then there was the 100 set restarts. Then there was the 9-1 penalty count, which isn't necessarily a reflection, because I hate people reflecting straight off a penalty count. But then you've also got buddy, what's it called? You've got the knock on there, and it's just like that's the thing, man. I thought that game was a really enjoyable game to watch, but I feel like it got ruined for us. I feel like it dead set got ruined for us, and I feel like this is the thing. I don't want to blame Parramatta fans or Parramatta itself for the fact that you guys are getting handed a few wins this year. All right, so you've had the Manly one, you've had the Sharks one, and unfortunately, you guys have to cop this because it is the case. You guys just genuinely have to cop it because it is the case, and unfortunately, you have been handed a couple of wins this year. But in the same sense, Parramatta are a damn well good team, but they haven't looked great recently, and arguably this was their game that they were due a loss. This was their game they should have lost, and they didn't because they were handed over the line. Now, I'm not saying, and I think Parramatta weren't great in this game either, but then again, that was because of the weather. The weather was shocking. Like, that was ridiculous weather.
It's hard to get a read on either team in that weather, though. You've got to take that into consideration. I thought the players from both teams, I mentioned Talakai, on our end, Dylan Brown, and some players who probably should have performed, like your Sivo and your Sione Katoa, really took a step back in this game. And I think it wasn't a game that you can take much out of. I think that it was an enjoyable game of footy, but you can't take... I could take more from the Sharks than I can from Parramatta, and I'm locking the Sharks in the 8. That's about it for that game.
Yeah, well, I also think in regards to I think in regards to Parramatta, they've obviously looked pretty average in recent weeks as well. You know, they beat the Sharks there. A lot of Dogs fans really do complain about that. I lean more towards the fact that was just a stupid decision there from the Dogs because I didn't see the try, and I still haven't seen the try that Dogs fans complain about. But the fact is that, yeah, people have been complaining about that against the Dogs. And besides that, you know, they did beat the Tigers. You know, that's fair enough there, but the Tigers aren't exactly a big beat there. And they lost to Manly. So, and in that game, I think they got all the favourable calls too. I've told you this. So it's like, that was obviously a strip try. So that's the thing. Like, I'm not here insulting Parramatta fans or Parramatta as a team. I'm here insulting the fact that I don't know what it is, but it feels like they're being kind of favoured to get pushed along a little bit extra. Would you disagree with this?
I wouldn't disagree in the sense that we get favoured a lot of calls. I think refereeing, it's really tough because I think a lot of teams are favoured and a lot of teams are put tough against. And I think it kind of changes every year. We've always said penalty Broncos, and we're not seeing that type of thing this year. And
because they're not the hot flavour.
Pardon?
They're not the flavour of the month, the Broncos. The flavour of the month is getting Parramatta a premiership after 34 years.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? And the Roosters last year back-to-back, it almost seems like it's all written on a bloody storybook. 2016,
you could tell a mile away the Sharks are winning that. You could literally tell a mile away the Sharks are winning that in 2016. you could tell a mile away. You can usually tell a mile away when a team's going to win a competition. And a lot of people actually call the Sharks to win that probably 3 or 4 years beforehand when they're in a lot of trouble themselves. So look, I'm not saying anything's rigged. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But I do feel like there is definitely a lot more probably favoritism to get this team into a better position. I'm not saying that they're cheating, or I'm not saying that they're involved whatsoever. But I just feel like the NRL would really like to get this team a premiership after the 35-year wait for such a large audience in Parramatta. Parramatta have a very, very large audience, and they really want to get them over the line. And I wish the Titans would be the ones that they got on the line. Cheat for us, please, for the love of God. Like, I'll take a cheat at premiership. I don't give a shit at this point, mate. You want to have a go at the Titans? Parramatta fans, they couldn't give a shit if they won a cheated premiership. It's been 35, 36 years. You know what I mean? So that's the thing with me. But we're gonna finish it up basically there. The Titans did win against the Cowboys. I don't really think there's too much to talk about there besides what we talk about pretty much every single week. Well, AJ Brimson, Kevin Proctor too, mate. Kevin Proctor, mate. That was fantastic.
Yeah, winding back the clock, old Proctor.
Yeah, well, I would definitely take him again next year at this rate. Would you say no to that?
I would. I'd very sign him. Do you think that, and this is, I'm going to sound tough here, do you think if the Cowboys had the players that they have out your homes and things, that the Titans still would have won? Because I genuinely believe so. So I'm interested to see what you boys think. If they had their players that they've got currently out back in the squad, do you think Titans still win that game?
I'll let you go first here, Pat.
I think Titans still win that. I just think Titans are just a better team than Cowboys.
Well, I agree. I think the Titans are a better team than Cowboys, and I think that's crazy to say, considering previous years. And I feel like a lot of people are shocked right now that the Titans are officially the best team in Queensland. Look, the Titans were the underdogs coming into this game, and I didn't understand it. That was free money for me. That was literally free money for me. I have no idea why the Cowboys were favourites. I guess because we've got such a poor record against them. But in the same sense, we've got a poor record against everyone in the last 10 years. So, that's the thing. I think people really focus too highly on previous years and previous teams and previous kind of records against a specific team than actually looking at how the teams themselves are going in the moment. I think people really forget about the moment. And they really look at like, oh, wait a second, the Titans haven't won against this team since 2014 or some shit. And you're just like, well, that's cool. But in 2014, we had, I can't even really remember who we had back in 2014. We had, I think, maybe Bo Champion. In 2014 or something like that. So Will Zillman was still there. My boy, Will Zillman, he was still there. So, that's the thing. Like, why compare? Why compare, in my opinion? That's my personal opinion. Yes, obviously, there is things such as hoodoos that I definitely do believe in. But in the same sense, I don't think that Titans-Cowboys thing was a hoodoo. So I thought Kevin Proctor was unreal. I think he was just bloody brilliant. He was my man in the match. AJ Brimson second for me. Like, he was, and I wouldn't even say that he wasn't the man of the match, but I would personally give Kevin Proctor the man of the match because AJ is going to get it most weeks if there is a player for the Titans. And I think that Kevin Proctor had one of his best. I think that was his best game for the Titans he's played. By far, by a long way. I think Kevin Proctor was unreal. And if you add him to that forward pack next year, that's just another incredible addition there if he can get back his form from before. What do you think about that?
We speak about it every week, how good the Titans are going to be next year.
I'm not really referring to that because we've spoken about that a lot, but I'm more so referring to Proctor specifically being included into that rather than him not getting a contract extension.
Well, he's a performer week in, week out. He had an absolutely unreal game, but I think he's a bit of an underrated player. He always does his job, and he does good for Titans.
I think, by the way, I think the Titans are a better team overall, and I think we do beat them either way. I just don't think the Cowboys are up for this year, to answer your question. So, guys, let's jump into the 3 questions of the NRL before we get into the A-League. By the way, in the A-League, it is now 2-1 to Melbourne City with 10 minutes to go in that game. 2-1. Red card to Melbourne City there, but we're not going to do that right now. We're going to get into the 3 questions. So first question will obviously go to you first, Patrick, then me, and then Hayden. So jump in the comments right now, mate, and grab a question. So guys, everyone in the chat, throw your questions towards us. We're going to choose 3 questions, and we're going to answer them right now.
This one's from Golden Holden. It says, question for the Entertain House. What makes you disrespect the Sharks so much? I've never seen you and you always support the other team when you go to the games.
You go for it. You go.
I'm pretty sure I supported the Sharks against the Bulldogs, and they lost last year. I don't have disrespect for the Sharks at all. I just don't rate them too highly. I think I saw a little bit I think they're a little bit underrated, flying under the radar, but yeah, no, that's a strange question.
I think
Just
I think
who I feel.
I think to defend you a little bit here, Hayden, I think because you've obviously just played the Sharks, and obviously we do agree that there was a bit of a robbery there. That I think that maybe they're taking your not disagreements, because you agreed with it in a way, in a pretty decent way, but it is somewhat of a disagreement, and they're kind of saying that. I guess you're not really kind of being realistic, but I think you are. I think you've agreed with it enough to the point where I haven't absolutely come in and slaughtered you, which I was planning to do. But no, you've done pretty well by admitting that it was a little bit favourable in one way. But no, I think that I don't think Hayden's got anything against the Sharks. I know him quite well, and I've never seen him actually kind of have a crack at the Sharkies. I guess I don't even know what team you don't even like, to be honest with you, man. Like, what team don't you like? You can say it. I say the Broncos. The Broncos can suck one.
Broncos and Manly, I hate you and always will and always have. But right now, I'm getting a little bit tired of Penrith and the way that they play and not.
No, that's just the battle of the West out there, I guess. Though I think that's just a bit of the battle of the West out there.
I think it is something like that.
All right. Well, I'll get to the next question here. So. Avide, you were not going to answer that because that would be speculation on a situation that we've already kind of spoken about. So we'll kind of leave that one, my man. We did kind of speak about that before, so you can check it out when I upload this NRL section. But Zach Turner says, who will be the next coach of the Broncos? It's inevitable that Seabold won't be the coach in 2021. Arguably the toughest job in rugby league now. Hayden, you're up.
I want to see Jeff Tuvey coach.
Can you imagine Tuvey at the Broncos? Tuvey.
What are some candidates? I'm trying to think for Brisbane.
That's the thing, lads. That's the thing. There is no coaches at the moment. There's no coaches, and this is what I've been saying all year long.
No. Maybe Paul McGregor.
Gee whiz, you sure that's the way you want to go after what he's doing at the Dragons right now? I guess he's kind of improved a little bit.
I don't want to go that way, but I could see the Broncos signing Paul McGregor. I don't know. I could see it. I could bloody see it.
Patrick, what about you?
It's like such a small market for coaches for Broncos. I can just see him just like signing Paul Green out of nowhere, just doing that.
I don't know. I think Paul Green's kind of done here, to be honest with you. But like, obviously, I find this one of the most confusing questions ever because there is no coaches right now, and I guess I honestly feel like that's why they're holding on to Seabold right now. I honestly feel like that's why they're holding on to him because they've got no options really. What's happening with buddy? Did Nathan Brown sign with the Warriors? Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So. What's happened? What Todd Payton doesn't want to do anything, does he? He just wants to stay as assistant coach, doesn't he?
He declined to become full time.
So that's what I'm saying. So he just wants to stay as assistant coach of the Warriors, yeah? Well, if that's the case, I would have said that maybe he could have a chance if he wanted to go to Australia. I didn't know if that was him saying I don't want to do the Warriors, but I could do somebody else. For example, the Broncos. That wouldn't necessarily surprise me. He's not been terrible. He's obviously shown the Warriors are doing quite well. I wouldn't be too kind of I wouldn't be too out of control with saying that maybe Todd Payton could be an option. But in the same sense, I don't know what his thoughts are. He obviously just disagreed and said no to the what's it called to the Warriors. So. I would nearly go and assume that it won't be him. But go on.
We have coaches. There's one that was at Warriors that shouldn't have been sacked, in my opinion. That we haven't talked about Stephen Kearney.
You don't think he should? Well, I don't think he should have been sacked now, but I think that eventually he would have been. But I don't think he should have been sacked now. I agree with that.
Do you think that the Warriors could have been performing as good as they are now if they had him?
No.
You think it's got more to do with the coaching level they've got now of Todd Payton?
I think it's got more to do with the fact that they feel a lot more fresh now and a lot more open to do more things now, considering that they don't really have a seriously full-time coach right now. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And they're obviously playing for their positions right now. When you don't have a full-time coach and you're playing for a coach that you don't know is coming in yet, you want to show your best off to that new coach so that you don't get tossed out when he comes in. So I guess that, they would be playing for their new coach without knowing really what he's going to do, and they want to show their best right now, and that's why they're performing their best. But let's move on to the it's a really difficult question, that one, but let's move on to the next one, lads. And Hayden, you can choose the question to finish us off for Rugby League.
I found one up here. Who was it? It was... Oh my god. I can't remember who it was from, but I saw it was about... Here it is. It's from Extremebo223. He says, is Sonny Bill Williams worth a buy for next year? Do you want me to go
Just
first,
on this, no, Pat, you go first here. But just quickly before Pat goes in here, I want to say this. Toronto Wolfpack, you're disgusting. Absolutely, bullshit situation over there right now. I saw with Darcy, who's been on this podcast before, he came out saying that, they're currently all being held there. They've got no visa. They've got no ability to work. They've got no job. Obviously, they haven't been paid in 3 months, and they're not able to get home to Australia right now. So, Toronto Wolfpack, even if you do come back in the competition, I will never, ever support. And I'm sorry, Pato. I don't know if you get around them because, obviously, you love your Toronto and, you get around them. But I'm sorry. But that organisation right now has done that club, those players so dirty, so filthy. And then for Sonny Bill Williams to be absolutely gifted a shot over here and just gotten over straight away, but they refuse to help anybody else over there get out of that situation, despite the fact that they screwed them over. I personally feel disgusted by that club, and I will never back them in after what I've seen in this situation. So, Patercat, if you want to reply to that, all good. If you want to make me more aware of the situation, that's fine. But from what I see and from what I've spoken with Darcy about, I definitely don't agree with what's going on over there.
I'm a Toronto Wolfpack fan in the Super League, just getting them out there.
Yeah, go.
Because, of course, I think the problem with Toronto a bit there is a bit of their ownership also. They're not like the big clubs in Toronto, of all sports, are owned by usually one whole thing. Maple Leaf Sports was an entertainment group. Wolfpack are not. Wolfpack are owned by, I think, one guy.
Zach Turner just said, and some Australian millionaire owns the Wolfpack.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I think what would be better if Wolfpack would go under the Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment Group, because that's probably one of the best in business in sports. Then of course Maple Leafs, the Toronto Raptors, and Toronto FC, and they do a pretty good job at it. So back to Sonny Bill Williams. Is he worth signing for next year? Was that the question?
Yeah, if he's worth signing for next year, yeah.
Well, no, I don't think he's even that good, to be honest, anymore. He in those games he was playing for a Wolfpack, he wasn't worth the money that we were paying him.
To answer from my perspective, I think that, he wasn't exactly fantastic over there in the English second division. And look, he's a fantastic player overall, but he's not young anymore. And I feel like this is just a little bit of a last hurrah kind of thing. And I guess the Roosters, honestly, I don't think that is over the cap kind of signing. I genuinely believe that I genuinely believe that that's a little bit of a signing just to kind of get the name back at the club. I don't think he's going to play a pivotal role at the club. I think he'll be there for a bit more of experience. But Hayden, you go on next.
Yeah, I was going to say, who do you take out of that 1 to 13? Like you, Blaze, I see him being someone maybe like Ben Teo to Brisbane, who kind of, you get the name back to the club, you get him in for maybe a couple games off the bench, but nothing special. And in regards to the price that they got him for, I think they got him for a good price. Whether that's what he's worth, I'm really not too sure. I don't watch too much of the Super League, but I know that he wasn't too great over there at Toronto. So I'm surprised that Toronto have helped out in getting him over here and respecting him, and no respect for the other players, considering those players actually perform. But I didn't think Sonny Bill Williams did much for Toronto over there in the Super League at all. So I don't, in the sense of playing ability, at this stage I'm going to say no. But in regards to a deal of worth a buy as a deal, I'm going to say yes.
Oh, in regards to a deal, yeah, financially, yeah. As in bringing a solid name around the... Adelaide just scored in the last minute to equalise there 2-2. I think that financially it's a good option there. I think financially it's a good option for bringing a name around the club and get some hype around the club. But in the same sense, yeah, I don't think he's going to play too much of a pivotal role there besides maybe the experience off the field. But guys, let's jump into the A-League now. We've obviously been speaking quite a bit about Rugby League there. So guys, we appreciate you jumping in and staying in the stream. Definitely hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. But we're going to jump into the A-League now to finish this off. So I don't know what the last game was that we watched on. I'm not too sure what the last game was that we spoke about on this podcast, but we're going to go from the Perth Glory game. So last week, Perth Glory beat Western Sydney Wanderers 3-1. It was 1-1 between the Phoenix and the Raw, 1-1 between Adelaide United and Sydney FC, 5-3 between Western United and Western Sydney Wanderers. Melbourne Victory beat Perth Glory 4-0. Raw 1-1 with Sydney FC. And right now, with 3 minutes to go, Adelaide have come back from 2-0 down after Craig Noon got red carded for the Melbourne City there, and it's now 2-2 in the 91st minute. So unfortunately, it's not looking too good there for City, considering they were up 2-0. But guys, let's look at the ladder right now. Sydney FC obviously top, Melbourne City in second, Wellington Phoenix third, the mighty Brisbane Roar in fourth, Perth Glory in fifth, and Adelaide United in sixth, with Western United in seventh. And besides that, no one else can really make it. So what are your thoughts on the current round that we've just seen, lads?
So I'll go first. I will. So my Wanderers have had 2 games, 2 losses. So the results, the whole of it, there's been some memorable results. Of course, Melbourne Victory winning 4-0 for Perth Glory. That was a shock to everyone. And you had the Western United versus Wanderers game, which was, I don't want to understate it. It was a great game. That was. Yeah. And then they had Brisbane Roar versus Sydney FC. That was also a pretty good game where I was watching it also. Pretty open, same as Adelaide Sydney. So it was actually pretty overall good games. Yeah, well, go on, Hayden. Go on.
I'm gonna touch on Sydney, and we're gonna bully our old friend Jas here. Can Jas truly be proud of the way that Sydney are playing? I mean, Brisbane are definitely a good team. Adelaide are definitely a very competitive team. No, they drew with Brisbane as well.
Buddy, we went up 1-0, mate. You buddy, watch out for us, son. You buddy. By the way, guys, please stop spamming in the chat. Have a good time, but just don't spam. But keep going, Hayden.
Yeah, I think that Sydney are really struggling in that sense, and some teams are really starting to surprise. In relation, I think Adelaide United coming from 2-0 to 2-2, tying 1-1 with Sydney. I think they're being very competitive. And Melbourne Victory 4-0 against Perth Glory. Old WTF over there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a really strange one there. But look, in regards to what you're saying about Sydney, look, I think that game against Brisbane was a game of 2 halves. I thought Brisbane Roar were the best team in the first half. I thought that Sydney FC, well, look, I don't even know if I could say that Sydney FC were the better team in the second half, but I think it was a lot more even. I think I'd maybe lean towards Sydney FC, but I think they have been a bit disappointing since the restart. I do still think that they definitely should be favourites. Like, simple. It's simple as that. They definitely should be the favourites. But in the same sense, I would go and say that it's definitely been a disappointing. I don't even think Sydney FC's won since the restart. I don't think Sydney FC has run. Let me have a go.
First game against Wellington.
Oh, they won their first game against Wellington, which was debatable in that too. And that was debatable in that too. I have no problem with Sydney FC, by the way, guys. So this isn't me being biased or anything like that. But, for this guy, it is, because he's a Western Sydney Wanderers fan.
Jas is here in the comment section.
Jas122 says, I think we did better in the Brisbane game, improvements on the previous issues. Well, I disagree, but, it is what it is. But Sydney FC, they lost to the Jets, obviously 2-1 there in the last minutes. They were up 1-0 in that game. They obviously lost to Melbourne City 2-0 there. They also drew with Adelaide United 1-1, and they drew with the Brisbane Roar 1-1 there as well. So, ever since the restart, they haven't, besides that Wellington Phoenix game, which is a little bit debatable, they haven't won yet. So, do you guys still believe that they are the favourites to win the competition?
No, I don't have them as favourites.
Yeah, but you're a Wanderers fan. Should we really listen to your thoughts about the buddy Sydney FC to be the favourites? Like, are you telling this out of bias, or are you telling us how you believe it?
I was supporting Sydney versus Adelaide. I wanted them to win. I wanted Sydney to beat Adelaide, but that didn't happen. But they haven't had a great game at all. Like, they haven't even had a good game since the restart. Sydney versus Wellington, that wasn't a good performance. They got gifted back from a handball that wasn't a handball, and Wellington should have went up 2-1 late. I wasn't offside. Yeah, and Wellington they haven't been the most consistent side either. I think Adelaide been the most consistent since the restart. But I think Wellington they can beat Sydney FC in my opinion. They've got their best attack in the league, in my opinion, the most flashiest attack, best player in the league. I say Wellington are favourites.
Well, there you go. Wellington favourites. Hayden, what about you?
Yeah, I had Wellington as favourites, and I'll stick by it. But I think two teams are actually flying under the radar a little bit at the moment, and Blaze is going to be happy with me. I think the two teams, first one Brisbane Roar, and the other team is
I'll take it.
Tigers. But I think at this stage I'd back Wellington to get that title if they can compete against the teams above them. Obviously, City and Melbourne City and Sydney above them. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I feel like all these teams can definitely win it and compete well. But I think Wellington might get it. I think Wellington might get this title.
Well, I disagree with you in Brisbane Roar. I think we're just kind of getting by at the moment. Like we just refuse to lose. Really, it's 1-1 there against Sydney FC. It was 1-1 against Wellington. You know, it was we beat Melbourne Victory 2-1, but arguably that was a pretty shit ass game that. And you know, we lost 1-0 to Adelaide United, so that was our only loss since the restart. But like we refused to win and we refused to lose. Really, I think we're just kind of plugging along, and I would disagree that. I would personally disagree that Brisbane are flying under the radar. I think that we'll probably get through the first round if we would be playing Perth Glory. I would say that Brisbane will probably beat Perth Glory there. I think Perth are actually struggling here to make the finals. They will make the finals, but in the same sense, they've really not great. And I personally believe Brisbane would beat them there. If it was this way, I think Wellington would beat Adelaide. Yeah, but I think before this City versus Adelaide game, I was going to say that City might have a good chance here. But they just coughed up a 2-0 lead. You know, they coughed up a 2-0 lead right now to Adelaide. So that's the thing. Like,
it's in the 99th minute. Is there 9 minutes of extra time?
There must be a lot of added time. There was a red card, to be honest, man. There's a lot of yellow cards in that game. So there was 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in that game. One of them being a red card, 7 being a yellow. So that sounds like a pretty hectic game there between City and Adelaide. But I would have said Sydney, but City. But I still have a feeling that Sydney kind of. Look, I don't know, actually. This is really difficult because Sydney FC just have not looked good for me. They just have not looked good. And I don't know if it's just the kind of the lack of preparation since the gap. But I think Sydney FC still should arguably be favourites. But I think City would have been closing in. And I do think that you are right in regards to Western United. They're flying under the radar. But in the same sense, they're going to get in there. And I really highly doubt that they're really going to do too much. I think Jas told us that they'd only really not much. They haven't beaten big teams much this season. I don't think they've beaten much big teams this season at all. So I'll still go with Sydney, but I do think City are there. I get a feeling Wellington aren't going to make it there, but they are still a fantastic team. So that's my opinion there. What else we need to talk about there? We've kind of already gone over Melbourne City.
Apparently, City's getting screwed over by the refs. There's a mysterious prankster.
Yeah, mysterious prankster is a Melbourne City fan. Like, of course, he's thinking that they're getting ripped off by the refs there. He is a Melbourne City fan. But
they got yellow cards for just standing around.
Gee whiz.
So on the Western United thing, I reckon Western United, you're saying they're under the radar. I don't think they should be there because they lost to Newcastle.
Yeah, but so did Sydney. Sydney lost 2-1 to Newcastle.
And also, Western United they blew a 3-0 lead against us when we had no hope left.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, yeah, that was pretty dodgy. But in the same sense, yeah, you're not wrong. I personally believe this is going to be a Sydney versus City final right now. I do. I don't really think that Wellington can get it. But then again, that I don't know why. I'm doing one of Hayden's specials. Got a feeling, mate. Just a bit of Hayden's special. I got a feeling over here. But what else we need to go on? Brisbane Roar fit to lose. We've kind of gone over that. Actually, this is the question that I'll ask, and then we'll get into the 3 questions in the chat. Will this season be fairly counted in your opinion? Like, do you think that this will be a season that people will count as a legitimate trophy?
Yep, I do. I think that the fact that it hasn't been kind of set up as a hub like a lot of other sports and teams have gotten to play with crowds, with their fans there and home games, I think that it's just like every other season. Obviously, there's a lot going on. Did anyone opt out of the restart? Did anyone opt out of the restart in this sport in A-League? So I guess in that sense.
Sorry, what were you saying,
no one-
Patrick? You were saying I couldn't hear.
Diego Castro.
Oh, besides Castro,
Yeah,
yeah,
Castro.
Castro for Perth.
Besides
That was a
Castro,
huge one.
okay.
And they have obviously looked shit since then too. But what are you saying, Patrick? Go on.
Daniel Lopar, great goalkeeper for Wanderers. He also opted out.
Okay, there you go. Well, what would you say,
There you
Patrick?
go.
Would you think that this is going to be a fairly counted season?
What was it? I can see both sides of the coin for it. Because you have teams like Perth Glory who can be like, if we had Diego Castro, we could be title contenders. But then again, it's only one player that you're losing, to be fair. And compared to like some other sports in America where you got like teams losing like almost the whole team almost. It's
Oh,
nothing
the
compared to
NFL's
that.
messed up. The NFL's messed up. Majority of their players aren't playing, so the NFL's messed up. But I would say that it's a legit season. But in the same sense, I think it's always going to have that mark hanging over it, just like every sport does right now. I think in the NRL, AFL, anything right now, especially in American sports, there's always going to have this hanging over the head of it. So that's my personal opinion. But in the same sense, I still think it's relatively not. It's more normal than most other seasons across any other sport. But yeah, I would. I would personally say that it's still probably a fair enough season. It's a fair enough season, but there's still a lot that's going on off the scenes, and there's I guess because we all know Sydney would have strolled to this if there was no gap. If there was no gap in between, Sydney would have strolled to this. I feel like they've really felt the lack of game time in between, but. I think that's going to do us for that. So let's get into the three questions. So I'll go first here. Hayden will go second, and Pat, you'll go third. But guys, go in the chat right now and let us know your question, and we will answer your question live. Please stop spamming. It's cool to have fun, guys, but please stop spamming the chat. But let us know what your questions are, and I will start off here first. So let me go. Let me just scroll up a little bit here. Let's scroll over and see what you guys are saying, but yeah, that game just finished 2-2, by the way, guys. That game just finished 2-2. Oh, Braithwaite says one of the greatest NRL Grand Final has asterisks. What game's that, Braith? What Grand Final has it? Oh, what? What are you talking about? The only great asterisks are the Melbourne Storm ones, aren't they? Is there any other Grand Final in the NRL, Hayden, that has an asterisk besides the Melbourne Storm Grand Finals?
Really, not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Chargers.
You want to count Ben?
Chargers'
Hunt
dad,
dropping the ball like an
Ben Hunt dropping the ball. Yeah, fair enough. Chargers' dad is a Brisbane Raw Pretenders. Firstly, you're a dick. But secondly, Hayden, you can go first here. Brisbane Raw Pretenders. Chargers' dad said. I think you've already answered this, but in the same sense, go again.
Well, they're coming along nicely, getting by with draws and not many wins, but getting draws or one loss since the restart. Is it one?
Only
loss
one loss, and that was to Adelaide United, the first one.
Yeah, Adelaide United. So I personally don't think they're pretenders. I think they're a chance. Not a big chance, but I give them a chance. So I'm in the category of they're not pretenders. Is Blaze in the same category as me?
Well, we're going to ask Pat first, and then I'll answer your question. Pat, Brisbane Raw Pretenders or not?
I don't see him making the grand final at all.
How dare you say something so crazy? No, go on.
But it's not like they're a terrible team. I see them getting past Perth easily. It'll be domination. It will. Perth have no chance.
Yeah.
And I can see them they'll probably play Sydney FC in the semi-finals. I can see him winning. I can see him winning that, but I just don't think Brisbane will show up for that game.
And don't you worry, we're coming to slap you up in those semi-finals, just if you're still watching. Yeah, buddy, don't you worry. We got those old Sydney FC pretenders, son. No, I don't think we're pretenders, but in the same sense, I don't think we're contenders. I think that we're kind of rated just finely, in the sense that we're just in the middle, and we're currently 4th place, I believe, and I think that we're fine, just kind of being rated there. I feel like we'd win our first game, but I do think, we'd come up against the Sydney FC or something like that in the next game, and I just think we'd get knocked out. So I think it'd be a good game. I think we'd kind of probably go to extra time at a 1-1 draw. We seem to be getting a lot of 1-1 draws lately, but in the same sense, I don't see, I don't see, buddy, Brisbane Raw going and winning the comp. But Hayden, you're up next, mate. Get your question flowing. Let us know in the chat, guys, what your questions are for the A-League right now. And then after these 2 questions, we're gonna wrap it all up. After all our buddy drama, But Hayden, you're up first.
Questions out there.
No, we're still waiting for a couple here. We don't have a massive A-League audience, to be honest with you. We don't have a massive A-League
That's
audience.
true.
So.
The only one that I can see, it's not even a question, it's a statement, is from Mysterious Parker.
Jas is not happy. Jas is not happy about about me saying we're
City
coming to
win.
slap up Sydney. Slap up
City
Sydney.
win, it's a legit season. If not, then no. Do we agree with Miss?
No, I definitely don't agree with that. I'm going to take your question for you. Finesca122 says thoughts on Perth Glory chances in the finals. Pat, you're up. We've kind of already answered this, but Pat, you're up.
What was the question again?
Do Perth Glory have a chance in the finals?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, there you go. That's simple.
This person on Jarvis's channel who's saying that people in this chat will know who I'm talking about. He says like he's got Perth Glory winning the championship.
Yeah, well, this is an idiot. Just buddy.
Clown.
Yeah, and I've got bloody the Chicago Bulls winning the NBA championship. Like, buddy, there you go. Like, that's just stupid.
Right,
like,
people who are listening on the stream, if you know who I'm talking about, type that in the comments, and I'll tell you if you're correct.
Well, there you go. So I definitely say no to Perth. I think that they're a blatantly different team to without Diego Castro, and I think that they're lucky to even make the finals at this rate. I don't even think they're locked in for the finals right now. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure that Western United, I actually no, Adelaide needed to win that game. If Adelaide had won that game, then we could have. Yeah, no, actually, Adelaide, because they didn't win that game just then, more than likely, unless Western United just absolutely choked this away, Western United just need one win to make the finals right now. And Western United play Perth Glory tomorrow, actually. They play Perth Glory, and then they play Sydney FC, and then they play Melbourne City. They've got 3 games to go here. They've got 3 games to go.
When do finals start?
Next Thursday? No, next Saturday. Not this Saturday coming, but the Saturday after that. Yeah, there you go.
That wasn't a shout-out, Carol. That wasn't a shout-out. No, they got it right. They got who I'm talking about right.
There you go.
That wasn't a shout-out.
Okay, so Pat, now you got the last question, mate. No, you got the last question. What's the question you're going to take?
Yeah, I'm going to look at some.
Yeah, no, you're right, mate.
All right. It's from Finesca again. We've touched on it before, but I can go in more depth. Do you think Western United have a chance?
All right, so I'll go first here. Western United have a chance. I would say no of winning the whole thing, and I think that because the reason is because I listened to Jas actually last week. I haven't watched necessarily a great deal of Western United this year, but he said that there was something that he said that they haven't beaten too many of the top 6 teams this year, and they've looked actually pretty average against the actual big teams. So I guess they're kind of just using the smaller teams as a little bit of a playboy right now to utilize their position and show that they're better. Make people believe they're a better team than they actually are. That's my opinion. I personally believe no. But Hayden, you're up.
I also agree now. The teams they've beaten, Jets, Mariners, Adelaide 5-1. That's a little bit of a statement, but no. They won 4 of their last 5, but I don't see them doing too much damage.
The only reason they beat Wanderers was because of a Stephen Gerrard-esque mistake from one of our players, giving the ball straight to Max Burgess to make it 4-3.
Gerrard, he slipped on his fork and gave it to them. Bye-bye, Steve Gerrard.
Of course, after I do a question out, all the good questions start coming in now.
Yeah, I know. I saw that one. We'll go one more question. Here we go. And it's actually from Finesca again here. And whose title would be more impressive, victory in 17-18 or if Brisbane win it this year? Well, firstly, on victory in 17-18, your buddy tell ya, I was at that bloody damn World Grand Final, and that buddy was a bullshit bloody piece of shit Grand Final. I was there. Is this the one I'm thinking about against Newcastle Jets in Newcastle?
Correct.
Buddy, tell you what, if anyone thinks that's impressive, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Like, that was just... I'm sorry, but no, that's not an impressive grand final damn well win, Mr. Buddy lack of VAR. Is he a victory fan?
Finesca?
Yeah.
He's a Wanderers fan.
Oh, he's a Wanderers fan. Okay, well, there you go. He's all right then. But yeah, no, definitely not. I think that if Brisbane were won it this year, it'd be a lot more impressive, considering that we're kind of, especially considering we lost our coach as well. You know, Robbie Fowler halfway through the year due to everything. So, yeah, I would say that. And just quickly, guys, you guys go give your thoughts on that.
I think as a team, Brisbane Roar has a better team than Melbourne Victory. So when you think of it as a team point, I think Victory's run to it is way better. The late winner against Adelaide United, that Berisha bicycle kick, hate Berisha, great goal though. And you had
I like Berisha previously before he went to the Melbourne Victory. How about that one? Is that all right? Is that acceptable? Is that acceptable there when he dove to get a grand final win against Perth Glory?
oh god.
That's acceptable.
So yeah, and then they had that iconic 3-2 win over Sydney FC in extra time with Terry Antonis running basically the whole field to score a winner. And then they had another iconic moment in the grand final for the wrong reasons. We had a potentially great game ruined by a computer not working.
Yeah, I know, and I was looking forward to that atmosphere in the Newcastle tested him to score a goal, which annoyed me, but that obviously changed the complete outset of that game. But if we're going to talk about the most impressive grand final win, that's obviously going to the Brisbane Roar versus Central Coast Mariners. But guys, that's going to do us for the A-League. I'm not even going to let anybody answer in response to that, because that is the greatest grand final of all time, and if you disagree, then you're wrong, and you should feel bad for being wrong. But guys, that is going to do us. We've been going for a couple of hours now, so well, obviously we had about 15 minutes, 20 minutes in between that, thanks to my computer completely shutting down. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. Obviously, thanks to Mr. Patrick Paedo-Cap for coming on and getting his apparently his time to shine over here. The chat's saying his time to shine. But thanks for coming on, mate.
Maybe future American sports podcast.
Oh, there you go. Maybe future American sports podcast. But thanks for coming on, mate. Yep.
Bye.
Okay. Yep. Bye. Yep. Bye. He says. He's not like, yeah, no, good man. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. But he's just like, yep. Bye.
I don't have any closing monologue prepared.
Oh, there you go. No closing monologue prepared.
The cat is out.
The
cat's out of the bag. I don't know.
Buddy, you're not a cat fan. You get it out of here. You can't say that. Buddy, you're a buddy Bulldogs fan. You buddy woof woof some shit. I don't know. Buddy woof woof. But anyway, let's jump off now. Thanks, obviously, Hayden, for jumping on as per usual. We're here every week, so I'm not thanking you ever again. That's the last time I'm thanking you because we're here every week. But we're going to jump off, guys. Obviously, subscribe if you're new around here. We do this every single week. We've got the Player Podcast coming back very soon. I just need to figure out a time when I can start editing those again. If you're into your live streams, I live stream every single day over at BKRsport, and Hayden does a lot of NRL content, so get around his NRL content over there, doing his previews and stuff like that. Our tips are for A-League, NRL, Super Rugby, they all, and AFL, obviously, they all come out on the In The Sheds Instagram page, so definitely go and check that out. That comes out every single week. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already, by the way, guys. We really do appreciate it, and we're going to jump off for now. So thank you very much for listening in, and thanks for dealing with all the troubles, and we'll see you next time. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.
Good stuff.
There we go.
Awesome.
All done.